We're gonna watch this video by Jubilee. What makes a real man? 50 men debate. Let's go, guys.
Women say, I hate men.
Of course,
literally.
absolutely. And
Death to the patriarchy.
A lot of these ideas of what you think misandry is are just your misogynistic instincts and assumptions being exposed.
Yeah, so now you're assuming that I'm misogynistic
I'm not
because
assuming.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not assuming. That was not an assumption. I gave you a very clearly
You're
rhetorical
demonstrating
path.
it right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, I hate men. Because that's
Do you
literally
think,
the
do you
definition.
think he's misogynistic?
Yeah, probably. I think we all are a little bit, some more than others.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, it's 2025. Trump is president.
I don't know who that guy is, but he's fucking fine. Men who are like well versed in like feminism are very attractive.
And we're back with
Very
another Middle
attractive.
Ground Excel. Behind me, I have 25 traditional men and 25 progressive men. We're gonna ask them some questions. and
Which
we're gonna
guy?
see if
The
they
one
can
from the
find a
beginning.
Middle ground. Our first question is:
I love that response. I'm not assuming. I know you are. Yeah, right.
should it be socially acceptable for men to wear skirts? Come
Yes,
forward and
it
find your
should
speaker
be.
for this issue.
The one who is wearing the blue shirt, by the way, Morphine Bear.
Personally, I like fashion. I tried to dress nice today.
You did dress nice today.
Thank you, thank you. I'm wearing a woman's sweater right now. This is from Brandy Melville. But
Let's
background,
fucking go.
in my culture, like I'm Native Hawaiian, men have traditionally worn skirts. We go back to other cultures, Japan, long gowns. Traditionally, men have been seen in history to be wearing the same clothes
Yeah.
that women do now. And America is a much younger society than any of these cultures that have dated back thousands and thousands of years.
Okay, so first I'd like everyone to take a second and take a look at the fellas and what they're wearing over there. Let's be so real right now. How are they gonna argue about what fashion? Yeah, about what fashion is supposed to mean in a manly sense or traditional sense?
It's the Scotland and in India, they wear dhotis. They're not wearing skirts because they think they're a woman. Here in America, that's the reason that they're wearing skirts. Is because they are trying to project that they are a female or the opposite sex or gender fluidity or any of that. And it's just nonsense.
And what's wrong with that? Why is that man so against it?
Again, it
Absolutely
depends.
not.
It depends on your intention. It depends on your culture. If your intention is to be feminine, right? Obviously, it's not right.
Society to tell us what to do, bro, right? I thought we were all about, like, the government not interrupting.
When it comes to just masculinity in general, like I'm in the camp of you provide for your wife, you protect her, you should be a pillar. Any sign of like wearing a skirt or something like that, like obviously, bro, like it's not the move.
This is kind of representative of a general idea of what a man is supposed to be in terms of how we dress, how we conduct ourselves in public. I think most men look at what a man is supposed to dress like and look at that and see, well, now I have to justify the difference between that and me.
Clothing is not gendered. We make it gendered. Anything that we're wearing could be a woman's whatever.
I agree with this. We make things gendered. Like wearing a dress is not like if you go back in time and like if you're someone who's like studied like anthropology or history or like whatever, like you'll actually see that like men used to wear heels, men used to wear makeup, men used to wear skirts. Those are not necessarily feminine things. Like it's just how we label them. I agree with that.
So we put titles on things, and I got a feeling nobody over there is
Slay Daniel.
any one of us.
The progressive men are gonna say it doesn't matter what you wear. You can wear any dress, you can wear a skirt, you can wear this. In the same vein, they would say it doesn't matter what language you speak, it doesn't matter what religion you speak. And as traditional men, we disagree with that. We want to have a cohesive society that we speak similar things, we believe similar things, we have a sense of community in all of the things that we wear. What they're saying is actually the anti-social stance, where everybody does what they want and nobody has a sense of community. So we need to.
What? What the fuck is this guy on about? So wait, sorry. So we're just like gonna totally ignore the fact that like he basically just wants everyone to be the same. Like he just wants to live in a society where everyone is just like a white alpha male wearing a red t-shirt like him. Basically, that's what it sounds like. Because he's like, well, if you speak a different religion, whatever that means, or if you speak a different language, or if you want to wear your own thing, apparently that means there's no cohesiveness and you can't be a community. What the fuck is this guy saying?
To hit on that, whoever speaks, not just about the skirt, because the skirt is...
It's not even about that though. It's about like being open to diversity and accepting that diversity. And then by accepting it is actually going to be creating a cohesive society. So whatever this guy's saying is just fucking bollocks. They act like wearing a skirt is a 50. Minus 50 to them. Yeah, like what? Who dude, if I saw, like, you know those pictures of like Harry Styles, he did a photo shoot of wearing like a skirt. He looks fucking sexy and women are attracted to that. Why? Because we like secure men who are also comfortable in their femininity, and that's the most important part.
It's the detail, and that's unimportant.
We are rooted in some kind of greater faith that defines masculinity, the man as a role. He is under God, he is serving his family, and he is the creator of his society and the perpetuator of said values.
Yo, it's simple, bros. Skirts are for women.
We should also talk about what does it look like if it's not socially acceptable? What does that mean? Point out how in practice, if it's not socially acceptable, that means we're shaming people, we're bullying people, we're excluding people, and I don't think anyone agrees that's a good thing.
Who wants to speak? Okay, then I feel comfortable. We have to take it a vote. We want to know who.
Put me in this room. Put me in this room. I think I would get violent though, but like it would be so awesome to just have the opportunity to just speak with someone who really thinks different to you and just try to like navigate that. I learned a real man wears sunglasses inside rooms. Yeah, guys. You wouldn't wear a short skirt personally, but I will say shorts. A super long skirt, on the other hand, seems impractical. That's fair enough. I feel like it's like men shouldn't have to wear skirts, but I feel like it's more so that if you are a man who wants to wear a skirt, all the power to you. Plus, men have nice legs.
All in favor?
Sometimes.
Everyone for Riley. Who votes for Riley? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's already a majority.
One and done, guys.
One and done. It is Riley.
All right, both sides have chosen their speakers, so let's bring forward Juma and Riley.
Okay, Juma and Riley. Just depends what we're used to culturally.
Should it be socially acceptable for men to wear skirts? You've got 8 minutes to find a middle ground between the two of you. Go for it.
Well, I believe that men can wear whatever they want, and pertaining to skirts, particularly, I am a native Hawaiian person. Traditionally in the culture that goes further back than America itself, men wear skirts. Japan, men wear long gowns.
It's
It's
not called a skirt though, specifically.
I know,
It's
but
called something else.
Again, it's just different
Like, I'm
cultural
Muslim,
norms.
I wear a thobe sometimes.
Yes, but it's
Like some
cultural
cats in the
norms.
military, I've roomed with guys in the military, and they say like I had to shoot the dude in the dress. So it's like, nah, like, do I take it personal? No. That's just according to that group of people, that's what they call it, right? Like, I wouldn't call a kilt a skirt.
Okay.
No, that's a cultural symbol. What a skirt means in today's society is different. But go ahead, I'm sorry for cutting you off.
I mean, yeah, like I was saying, traditionally, cultures that go further back wear clothing only has the meaning that we set to it. So, you know, if I someday decide that your skinnier pants are feminine because I got baggier pants, right?
Yeah.
Then I can do I get to ridicule you for that? Do I get to outcast you for that? That's just my question. Again, going back.
So
why
what's
is
the
it
question
not?
you would like to ask me?
Why is it not socially acceptable?
What it represents is that's femininity, yo. Like there's no question.
That's femininity, yo. And as men, we can't be feminine, yo. Like, what is this guy saying?
Question about it. Like if you're a dude walking around in a black leather skirt, like you're saying a lot. Like Jaden Smith is one of them cats that was on Vogue. Like nah, like we've seen what a skirt represents as a man. At least in North American culture and even some Asian cultures. Like I've been to South Korea. There are a lot of hyper feminine men out there. The only thing that I didn't see in South Korea was cats putting on makeup in the mirror. But for some reason, whenever I would go outside, I see hella cats wearing makeups, foundation, eyeliner, all that stuff.
So femininity is negative for men to express.
Wait, what are cats? Is he referring cats as in women or men? Like I did not actually catch that. What?
The skirt represents as like I've been to South Korea. There are a lot of hyper feminine men out there. The only thing that I didn't see in South Korea was cats putting on makeup in the mirror. But for some reason, whenever I would go outside, I see hella cats wearing.
Okay, I don't understand. What is he saying? He said the only thing I didn't see were cats putting on hella makeup, but when I go outside, I see cats putting on makeup. What the fuck is he saying? Are cats men or women?
Wearing makeups, foundation, eyeliner, all that stuff.
So femininity is negative? For men to express but is it okay to express feminine things? What do you think about my nail polish? What do you think about my skinny watch?
Me personally, bro, I ain't rocking like
okay,
that.
that's cool. That's great. But I am. So is there anything wrong with that?
that's a feminine trait that maybe you want to exude about yourself. Now, like, if we walk down the street, like, I may interact with you a little bit differently just because, like, I see the fact that you're wearing nail polish.
What does that mean? Like,
well,
would you...
generally, bro, like, whenever cats are, like, wearing nail polish, they're a little bit more hyper feminine.
Okay.
They may try to hit on you or just other stuff in general.
Okay.
Dude, you know what? There it is. There it is. There it is. Traditional, okay, as I label it here in this video, traditional men see it that if you're someone, a guy who's comfortable with your feminine things and like to have, you're comfortable with being more feminine, okay? He just said that they might hit on you. So actually, they're not scared of feminine things. They just associate feminine things with being gay, and they don't want to be hit on by gay guys. It's always that. It always comes back to that. For some reason, these types of men always think people are out there who are trying to like fuck them. No one wants to do that to you. Just because a guy is wearing nail polish doesn't mean he wants you, bro. Like, what? Yeah, and again with the cat. Sorry, I'm yelling. Sorry. I don't know why I'm yelling. Yeah, I don't know why. Why does he say cats? I've never heard someone say that before. I sometimes wear black nail polish. Went to a club once and I had 3 different guys hit on me that night. Really? Fuck then. I guess never mind what I was saying.
So it's like,
so you're afraid. I mean,
no, I'm not afraid.
Even outward expression of femininity does not define sexuality. I mean, like, there's a lot of straight guys out there, a lot of, people who are in, like, emo punk scene wearing black nail polish for fun. People who wear lots of rings, completely straight, and it
but
doesn't
it's
matter.
The representation, though, of what that means.
What does that mean, though?
So, like, a guy wearing, like, he's obviously counterculture, right?
Yeah.
Like, if he's, like, the emo punk kind of guy. Also, like, borderline, like, devil worship at times.
Devil worship?
Yeah,
well,
like, nah, that can be clearly associated with it with a pentagram. A skirt isn't indicative of what a masculine man should represent in today's society. We got a lot of over-feminization of a lot of guys. Like, being a solid man that your wife can look to, or whoever that you're taking care of, can look to and be like, yo, that's my pillar. Like, if something going wrong in my life, they got me. And if you're walking around wearing a skirt, bro, like, okay, there might be cats that can walk around wear a skirt and they solid to the people that they can take care of, right? But the exception isn't the rule. Most cats walking around in a skirt, bro, they're not super breaded up. They're just cats trying to express themselves sexually because they've given up on the financial part.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people who express like feminine
it's easier,
traits,
it's easier to be broke.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people who express feminine traits, and have been, in the media for wearing skirts. Harry Styles is the biggest example. You think he's not breaded up? You think Young Thug is not breaded up? Like, people like that?
Yeah, but at what cost, though? Like, now you're starting to tap into the fact of, like, like, it's pretty obvious and it's out in the open now that a lot of these rappers, a lot of these cats grabbing ankles. These same dudes that wear skirts.
Guys, I'm sorry. Is this American language? Because, like, speaking, I don't know what they're talking about sometimes, but these like, expressions that they're using, I genuinely don't know what it means. Can they just speak English? What does grabbing ankles mean? I don't fucking... Why does he keep calling people cats? I don't know. I think cats just means people. I'm also lost.
Are the same ones that were popping up at the Diddy parties. They holding hands with Diddy, calling him daddy.
I mean, again,
Like,
this kind of just goes back to the argument that a lot of people try to push
that's feminization.
that gay people are groomers
and then on top of that, bro, like, I get it, bro. Like, I get, like, it's a cool piece of clothing. Like, my pops, he owned a fashion label. He did it in the 90s, where he exclusively designed women's clothing out of Egyptian silk. I totally get it. From a fashion perspective for a woman, like, bro, it's amazing. Like, bro, I think a woman looks good in a maxi skirt. But I'm saying I don't think a dude should be walking around rocking that.
And I guess my question to you to dig deeper is, should this be, mandated? Should you, bully people who are wearing skirts?
It shouldn't be open, common practice being taught to kids like, hey, bro, go to school wearing a skirt. Like, I'll tell you right now, like, the time me growing up in East Oakland, you go to school wearing a skirt, it's gonna be rough for you.
I mean, I'm not going to
Like, it's gonna
disagree
be
with
real
you on
rough.
that, but we should break down that stigma of people having to be scared of what they
Not scared,
choose to
not
wear.
scared.
No, because if, like you said, I should be scared coming, to where you're saying wearing a skirt or feminine attire or
Hi,
accessories or
Grim.
anything like that.
How are
so
you?
should people
Welcome.
have to fear for self-expression.
So I'll explain to you this, right? Like, I was a shooting specialist at Banana Republic for almost 2 years, right? And like, dude, like, I see a whole bunch of cats walk in there, different arrays, different budgets,
Cats.
you know what I'm saying? And I'm helping them get to where they gotta get. More than likely, man, like, the cats that I saw wearing skirts, man, those ain't the kind of guys that, like, you know, the cat like me would want to rock with. Like, the cats that I rock with, they're
But I think that's a problem with, like, you know, people who think like that, like the red shirt people, like they, by default, they like to associate that if you're a guy portraying more feminine things, they like to automatically associate that with as being gay, which is obviously not true and is a stereotype. I feel like, though, when it comes to clothing, I think as women, we do have more range. Like, it's like more socially acceptable for us to wear pants, right? Like, we can wear pants, we can wear suits and a tie. Like, that's more socially acceptable compared to a man wearing like a full blown like gown and dress. And I do think one of the main reasons for that is just because men are held to a much stricter standard in terms of, like, you know, attaining to traditional gender roles. I feel like men have it quite tough. Like, men and women both have it tough, but in different ways. And I think for men, like, oftentimes, like, it's really difficult, I think. Like, I don't know what the frick I'm trying to say, but I get it. Like, if you are a guy and you want to explore that side and wear a goddamn dress, I could just see the type of ridicule that you, depending on where you're from, because culture and environment really matters here. Yeah, you could be like bullied for it and stuff. You're just, like, as men, I think, held to a different standard when it comes to, like, wearing different clothing, you know? I went once in a gay club in London with my friend. I didn't even realize it until all the men giving me looks and some winking at me. Epic experience. Dude, I love going to gay clubs for a lot of reasons. But most of the time, I mean, like, when I say most of the time, like 99% of the time that I've gone, like, no, actually, every single time I've gone to a gay club, I've just always had a great time, great experience, never had any issues, compared to when I just go to a normal club where usually I have at least one man harassing me. So, do girls hit on me? Well, most of the time when I go to gay clubs, there are not as many women as there are men. So I've never really been hit on by a girl in that sense, like just someone coming up to me like that. So no, not really, no. I wish, though.
Like, I'm a business owner. I'm also a professional fighter. So it's like, nah, bro, like, just that kind of energy, it's not conducive for me to be around, because I need to cultivate a certain kind of mindset, a certain kind of atmosphere around myself in order to achieve what I believe is peak to what I need to be.
Okay, so Riley, based on kind of what you're hearing coming from Juma, what do you think is a middle ground statement that you think you could both agree on, or that you want him to agree on?
I would like for you to agree on that men should be able to express themselves. In fact, anybody should be able to express themselves however they want, skirt, nail polish, whatever, and that it should be.
We're focused on
Okay,
skirt, not
skirt.
the nail polish.
Men should be able to wear a skirt, and it can have a positive stigma around it if they so decide.
If culturally, they come from a culture. In Muslim tradition, right, there's this wrap that you can wrap
I'm not even
around
talking
your
about
waist.
that.
Some people would call that a skirt. So, like, that kind of cultural thing, no problem. But we're talking about North American problems. We're not talking about every other place.
So what's the middle ground that you think?
The middle ground
Riley?
is culturally, if that's where your family is from, rep where your family from. Rep your culture, rep your set, whatever it is, right? But you as a man, if that's something that you want to do, bro, by all means, bro. Just not that close to me, though. It's good.
Well, I disagree. I think that men should be able to express themselves however they want. And that's it. I don't think there should be any...
If you want to wear a skirt, you do it, just not around me. Man, that's... I feel like this is a conversation about living in the now versus an idealized version of how the world should be. Most people are not going to like seeing a guy in a skirt for one reason or another. The blue guy is speaking from the perspective of how the world should be, but not how it is. If a boy wore a skirt to school, they would get rejected socially. At the end of the day, the perfect world would be people choosing what they want to wear, what they want of their own free will, but people mimic what they see. No, Beach, that is so well said, like 100%. I do agree that I feel like The people who are more progressive, I guess in this context, like the blue shirt guy, as you said, he's talking about like an idealized world, right? The world we wish we lived in, or how we think it should be. And as you said as well, that's just not how it is. So,
especially clothes. But what I'm hearing is, even if you don't agree that it should be, that you think it's socially acceptable, I have heard you say that men should be allowed to wear skirts if that's how they want it, if that's what they want to do.
If that's what Brett wants to do, by all means. But I'm saying from like a cultural, religious perspective, it's not conducive to what a good nation trying to bring stronger individuals into the world should be doing.
See, there's like there's a background to this. It's not because you just don't like the clothes, right? What do you think? Like, I don't understand that you think it makes someone less of a man, less masculine, and that in turn makes them weaker for wearing a skirt.
In North American culture, I do not believe that it's acceptable for a man to wear a skirt. I'm not going to find a middle ground in between on that.
I'd like to propose that it's okay for a man to wear whatever he chooses.
Yeah,
if
maybe
that's what
IRL.
You believe, I respect you enough to agree with you on that part. But me personally, like you as an individual, if you want to do that, by all means, bro. But nah, not for North American culture. It means something different here.
So is that you saying that that doesn't work as a middle ground statement?
No, we're not going to find a middle ground.
Okay. I think we can leave it at that.
Yeah.
We gave it a good try. Shake hands and let's start.
I still respect you, though.
I'm just putting on hand cream because it feels so good.
Handle your business.
Dude, I think the problem with me is that, like, if I had to go up in front of a room of people and, like, debate about something like this, I would just be shaking because I'm so passionate, and I would just be like, ugh.
We did not find a middle ground in that last prompt, but thank you to Juma and Riley for giving it a try. We're going to move on to our next prompt, which is, does society need more trad wives or girl bosses?
Who can define these terms?
Okay, so a girl boss is like a girl who like slays the house. She's independent, bro. She's her own boss, she don't need a man.
And the trad wife is what? Traditional.
Is like a woman who's like, I gotta cook and clean for my husband.
Girl boss doesn't necessarily mean going out and being a CEO or doing whatever. It's just an empowerment of doing what they want to do. Being able to choose that, the best choice for that relationship is to stay at home and take care of a kid, whether that's the man or the woman or whoever in the partnership, or to go and work.
I don't care if she's traditional or trad. She's got to follow my program and my...
I don't care if she's traditional or trad. That's the same thing. Caught you on a mistake.
...rule as a man. And what I'm saying is she can go and be a boss at the job, but when she comes home, she's going to take that shirt or hat off, and she's going to follow my lead and follow what I have to say, because I'm the man. She's got my name. She's got my ring. She's under my roof.
Yo, that's very that was literally giving I own her. She's my property. I'm her boss. And that's literally the energy that was, yeah, even they disagree. Even the other guys are like, okay, man, I'm a traditional man, but that's too much, dude. I disagree with that. Girl bosses for sure. The economy's too fucked for stay-at-home wives to be the norm. I mean, at this rate, people are having less and less kids, so I guess that means less traditional housewives. The thing is, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to uphold traditional standards when it comes to being a traditional housewife or a traditional husband. There's nothing wrong with wanting those things. They're not automatically negative. I think it's just more, there's like positive and negative things with being traditional. For example, traditionally, women were known to being the caretakers and taking care of their children and staying at home. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong if you want to be that type of woman. I think what's wrong is when people are trying to enforce that upon you when you don't want that. That's the problem here.
But again, it's all respect.
Of course. As far as the traditional wife.
I want to own my woman and she's my property. Don't worry, guys. It's respect. What is this guy saying?
I mean, my wife kind of fits that mold. She does work from home, but I was in the military for over a decade, and so I was the sole provider, and she would stay at home and raise her kids, and that's just really worked for us. So I also have a 16-year-old daughter that I'm also raising to be a traditional wife.
Can we get a show of hands of folks who think they're a good fit for this?
1, 2, 3.
A lot of times, whether a woman should be a stay-at-home wife or whether she can like work and do other things in society is kind of a cloaked sexist argument. And so I think that whether or not a man or a woman in a relationship, you know, who's the stay-at-home parent, who's working, should be a function of the individuals and should not be a function of us doing these, you know, gender role-based prescriptions.
I'm caught between.
I agree.
them and
I 100% agree with what that guy said. I don't have anything more to add than that. I agree. It should just be up to the freaking family, man. Like, who cares? Who cares? Like, just let people do what they want. Like, come on, being a stay-at-home, like, wife slash husband sounds kind of great. I wouldn't mind that. But I don't know. I would also like to be the breadwinner. I think that, I don't know. Both seem appealing to me. The line of thinking I'm the head of the house is so counterintuitive to a healthy relationship. A marriage is supposed to be a bond where both parties are on equal footing. Without both parties feeling like their opinion is validated in the relationship, resentment starts to grow and the marriage falls apart. 100%. But I think that's how it should be. But I feel like for some of these like red men, they see it as like they own the house. I'm the breadwinner. I'm the one making the money. I provide the home for you. I pay for the food. I pay for everything. Means that I get to say what goes, which is, as you said, like not good because then resentment starts to grow and then your wife will probably leave you. So,
But the most important question for me is, are you paying all the bills for your home?
The girl
there it
bosses
is.
have
I guess if you're the one paying all the bills and you get to be the one controlling what your partner does and what they eat and when they sleep and when they piss, I guess.
been detrimental to society and how tradwives have actually helped build the family and through homemaking raised up the kids instead of them going out to the public school system or being raised by strangers because the girl bosses were too busy working to care about their kids.
Traditional wives is outdated.
Because
Wait.
actually, the girl bosses have been detrimental to society and how tradwives have actually helped build the family and through homemaking raised up the kids instead of them going out to the public school system or being raised by strangers because the girl bosses were too busy working to care about their kids.
Okay, guys. So if you are a woman and you have children and you work, you're a terrible mom. Apparently, that's what this guy is saying. Oh yeah, I mean, 100%. There are also very traditional women. I hope that they make a woman version of this. That would be very, very fascinating to see. Like traditional women versus more progressive women would also be very interesting.
Traditional wives is outdated. We find that women who have leadership roles do have higher success, arguably, than men because they get people to work together better, I feel. Men, it's about competition.
In like modern society, most physicians are women, most lawyers in America are women, the most educated people out of men and women are women. They attend school at higher rates, they graduate at higher rates.
The capability women have to raise children, the innate ability that my mother has, the connection she has with me, is something that is very important. And I feel like girl bosses lack that.
If you're gonna say that...
Wait, what the fuck does that even mean though? So like basically they're saying that if you're a working woman, that means you automatically don't have the ability to also be a good mother slash caretaker. Which is just, okay, I don't want to be put in this room anymore. I would not do well. I just get too angry. Yeah, why can't we be a girl boss? Like, let's say you want to be a traditional wife, stay-at-home wife. Nothing wrong with that. You can still be a girl boss in that sense. I don't really like how they phrase this, to be honest. I think this prompt could have had better phrasing. Because what the fuck is a girl boss? What is it? What does that even mean? Right? Like that, I feel like that kind of term is like open to interpretation based on how you want to define what a girl boss is. For me, I see a girl boss not strictly someone who doesn't have kids and who isn't a caretaker and works a really good job. That's not what a girl boss is to me. A girl boss is someone who, first of all, can be a mother and can also be working. A girl boss to me is someone who maybe doesn't want to have kids and wants to work and focus on her career. Maybe a girl boss is also someone who wants to be a traditional stay-at-home wife. That she can still be a girl boss too. So what kind, I don't know. The prompt I think needs work. My mom raised me and my sisters alone while working. Fuck yeah. Your mom is amazing. All the power to her. No, respect to all the single moms, man. I can't imagine how insane and insanely difficult it must be to raise children on your own and be working at the same time. It's insane.
the woman's duty is to serve the man, say it just as much conviction that it's the man's job to serve the woman.
Isn't the question we need more trad wives versus girl boss? Like that's the question, right? And so like I would advocate for that. You know.
Let's just vote.
How much time? I vote Anthony. Sure.
Anthony. Raise your hand for Anthony.
Steve, vote for Steve? 1, 2, 3.
I'm gonna vote for myself. If that's
Well,
okay.
all right. Well, I'm gonna assume everybody's voting for themselves. Votes for Jay. 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, there we go. It's yours.
All right, both
Oh, he's so precious. I'm just gonna vote for myself.
sides have chosen a speaker to debate this prompt. So let's bring forward Anthony and Greg.
Anthony versus Greg. Let's
Greg,
go.
Anthony, the question was, does society need more trad wives or girl bosses? I'll let you take it from here.
I definitely think that society needs more trad wives. Putting women in the workplace is actually a failed feminist movement, which minimized wages for men, and then it gave the government free control over the children, right? To
What? Wait, okay, super quick. So he's saying that if women go to work, that automatically means you're leaving your children to the government and that no one is there to take care of your kids. Because apparently stay-at-home dads don't exist to this guy.
a public education system, and I think that that's also why we have a lack of masculinity in society. So.
Okay. Yeah. So there's 3 claims there. There was the government controlling the children.
That's not what I said.
And then
That
the
is what he
wages
said.
being stolen from men.
I didn't say it was stolen.
Oh, sorry. How did you phrase it?
No, you said it was like minimizing wages for men.
Minimizing. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Causing an impact on men. And then what was the first one?
It was moving women to the workplace.
Moving women. Okay. Yeah. So there is no statistically significant difference between the cognitive abilities of men and women. You can obviously find an outlier study or two that says something else.
Sure.
And so
That's not what we're debating, though.
Well, no, but it's to, I'm building to my point.
Okay.
Yeah, so in that context, I think we should have a society that empowers men and women equally to pursue whatever works best for them and in their relationship. Like, for example, we have friends who are married, man and woman, and they are both in healthcare. And they both take turns working. Like, dad will work one day and mom will work the other day. And I think it's awesome if we have career opportunities. We have things like, affordable childcare, paid family leave, anything in society that supports people to make the decision that works best for their family, I think is positive.
Yep.
And I think if we had better options for people to pursue what works for them individually, we would have, as the prompt described it, more girl bosses.
But I think your argument is that if only we were to put women in workplaces, which no one's debating that they shouldn't be. The question is not, should we restrict women from doing it? It should be, should we have more trad wives, right? And so my argument is that there are studies that show that having, and I can speak personally, I've been married for close to 20 years. I was in the military for a little bit over a decade. I worked, I provided, that's worked for me, that's worked for my parents, that's worked for my grandparents. That's why we're traditional. We carry down these traditions from family to family. And so we see that our children are thriving. I see that my children have a mother at home that loves them and is able to be with them for their school events or for, sporting, things like that. And it's worked for us. So, the question is, do we need more girl bosses? Do we need more women away from their children? And I just don't think that that's what we need more of.
So why? So if the woman is away from, it's just one parent's at home and one parent's at work, right? That's kind of what we're describing. It's just. So what is the issue with a man being the stay-at-home parent?
Well, I just don't think that's the role of a man. Here's the reality. My wife and I both work from home. I'm out in the field a lot because I'm an independent journalist, so I do travel a lot more for work.
Right.
But we both work from home, and that's actually great too, because then I also get to partake in a lot of the things that we do. So if like my kid has a sporting event 2 p.m., I'm not stuck in the office. I'm able to do that. But going back in where I was deployed for months at a time and having my wife stay at home, I think that it would have been detrimental that not only do my kids have a deployed parent, but they also have a mother that's stuck at work 8 to 5.
Well, definitely. I think that I think we're not necessarily disagreeing there. So what you're describing is, in your situation, it made the most sense to have your wife be a trad wife, right? I'm a millennial and I feel silly saying trad wife. It's not my verbiage. Yeah. Would you agree that it makes sense for us to have those cases where it might make more sense for there to be a girl boss to allowed to happen? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Sure. Like I think what your argument is that we probably live in a society where women also have to work, and so what I'm saying is, yes, I have a personal bias of why my wife should stay at home, but also there's studies to show that women that tend to stay at home with children tend to have a happier family. They tend to.
A Harvard research study found children of working moms grow up to be just as happy as children of stay-at-home moms. According to a 2014 Pew Research study, stay-at-home married mothers are 5 times more likely to live in poverty than married mothers who work.
To be able to have less divorce rates, for example, as opposed to two people that are usually always at work and they rarely see each other, they rarely spend time with their kids. There's also some studies that show that kids do better in the long run when they have.
A 2010 analysis of 69 studies found early maternal employment is not significantly associated with children's later achievement and behavior outcomes.
Have a parent that stays at home, for example.
What's interesting is regarding studies on stay-at-home parenting, on the census, an at-home dad is defined as somebody who has not been in the workforce and not made money over the past 52-week period, over the past year. And so when you look at studies of stay-at-home dads, you miss out on things like, as you mentioned, people who do remote work or people who work part-time. And so I am not as confident as you are in the sort of evidence base for this claim that stay-at-home dads are somehow detrimental compared to stay-at-home moms. I believe it was the American Psychological Association put out a statement on this where they said that as long as it's a stable, loving household, that's the most, that's kind of the highest bar you have. But so
I'm just gonna pause you because we're out of time, so I want to push you both towards offering a statement that you think both of you would agree on regarding trad wives and girl bosses.
Would you agree that in a circumstance where it makes the most sense for that family to have a girl boss, we should facilitate that?
I don't agree with that just because what you're almost claiming is that.
Look at his face. Look at the blue guy's face. He phrased it perfectly. It was perfect. There's actually no room to disagree with anything in that statement. There's like, what is wrong with that? And he's just like, well, actually, I disagree. And that guy is just dumbfounded. He's just like, what?
The family can only be successful if the woman is a girl boss.
Oh, no, that's not what I meant to claim at all. I must have so I'm just trying to say,
what?
Should we look at people as individuals and look at individual circumstances and then have people do what makes the most sense for their individual circumstances instead of making these broad...
This man's really has to lay it out for him, huh? Like, what's...
kind of gender-based.
It's not hard to
understand. It's like, you are a
understand.
woman, so you should do this. You are a man, or as you do in your own life. It sounds like your situation is not exactly a traditional situation because you are considering your personal circumstances, your personal strengths.
But also studies back that, right? So that's what I was saying, less divorce rates. And then if you want to get into like the intricacies, like, a family that goes to a church every single week.
Circumstances, your personal strengths.
But also studies back that, right? So that's what I was saying, less divorce rates. And then if you want to get into like the intricacies, like, a family that goes to a church every single week has a 50% less chance of getting divorced, right? So it's just a little, I guess, difficult to come to the realization of like, it's only if a girl boss was there, right? Because I mean, that is that question after us. Should we have more girl bosses? Not should we allow women to work, which is all part of lawful, way of doing things. So I guess I'm just kind of having a hard time with that middle ground.
Yeah, what would yours be?
I think the conversation I've had with a lot of people, progressive men, is that they think that traditional men are just strictly against women working, period. And that's just not my view. I think that the rights are there. My wife works, right? But she works from home, and it doesn't really interrupt the household,
I think I have an idea. So what about we should make it easier for a family to have a girl boss if that works good for the family? Does that make sense?
Or let's flip it and let's make society.
This guy is so insufferable. But no, you're right, Beach, that the red guy will never give up any ground because they think if they do, they lose. 100%. Because, yeah, they have an ego.
Society easier so that the male can work and provide for his family on just a sole income without having to put two working parents and seeing their children off.
You know what encompasses both of those?
Sure.
So what I'm hearing is that we both have different ideas about what works best for a family. So maybe a middle ground statement would be, we should structure society in terms of our policies, our safety nets, things like that. So whatever works best for a family is available to that family, whether that's a trad wife or a girl boss in the household.
Let me just, let's empower families to do what's best for them.
Yeah.
It's a little soft. I think we need to address, like the role of women, which is what this prompt is saying.
I mean, hearing all 7 minutes of you, it's just, I wasn't convinced of like why we need girl bosses, right?
Right.
I listened to statistics.
That's why we
and
make
things that
individual
work, right?
decisions. I'm not convinced of anything about your life, but
Sure.
I think
Even
you
though
should-
studies show like it's better for the household.
So my opinion is that we should trust 2 adult people to make a decision about what
That's just very nuanced, though. It's just very, it can mean anything, right? Oh, well, you should allow 2 parents to just do drugs all day because it's better for them.
Okay.
You know?
So
it's just too nuanced. What I would say is we can live in a society where I guess, girl bosses can thrive legally and trad wives can also thrive legally. I just think a girl boss can already thrive. It's harder for a woman to become a trad wife than it is for a woman in today's day and age with the current policies to become a girl boss.
Well, what is a version of it? You
What?
That we need more trad wives.
You're not giving us anything, Anthony.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
I'm working pretty hard here.
I think we'll just have to. We didn't find a middle.
Yeah, dude, the blue shirt guy was literally trying to find the middle ground, and the red shirt guy was just not like nothing. The lights were not on at home. Like it was all off. He was just very adamant on staying on his lane and not even trying to like reach a middle ground. Yeah, what studies actually? It's kind of funny that he keeps saying these studies, and then they literally pull up the studies that he's sorry, I hit the mic. The studies that he's referring to, and he's just completely wrong.
Ground statement for this one.
Yeah. We didn't come to an agreement, but I like your facial hair.
Thank you. I like your groove.
All right, nice to meet you, man.
Very nice meeting you.
Yeah,
All right,
and thanks for your
bye.
service.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for powering the fact checks in this video. Straight Arrow News is an app and website that is on a mission to raise the bar on journalism.
We don't need this.
Or click the support
Sorry.
Our next question, which is, are depressed men weak?
Ooh.
I would definitely say that depressed men are weak. I was heavily depressed. I'm a cancer survivor. And with that came clinical depression, anxiety disorder. I gave up on life. I didn't want to live. And that's because I was weak. Coming out of that, I'm stronger than ever before.
Bless you for that, brother. You got through that. But what I'm saying is, ultimately, the depression part of it is a weak mindset.
Right, yeah.
So that is weak.
Like when your family member dies, like you
Yeah,
definitely have
you should
time,
be sad,
but like
right.
you shouldn't like label yourself as I'm a depressed person. It's like
That's
I'm
right.
going through like a sad state right now. Like it's tough times, but you gotta pull through it, and that's what we all agree on. Is that being strong means coming out of that,
Right.
And not like because like killing yourself is the weakest shit to do.
That type of sentiment saying that like.
That is an insane thing to like go like start from. What? Let's hear his whole speech again.
Definitely have time, but like you shouldn't like label yourself as I'm a depressed person. It's like I'm going through like a sad state right now. Like it's tough times, but you gotta pull through it, and that's what we all agree on. Is that being strong means coming out of that,
Right.
And not like because like killing yourself is the weakest shit to do.
That type of sentiment saying that like men who have depression are weak leads to men killing themselves.
He's my baby
So
girl.
I want to push back against that. There are so many studies that show that men who hold those types of views are more than 2 times as likely to kill themselves.
So I would okay. Well, fair. I mean, we'll give it. Well,
Who else
give them
wants
options.
to? Both sides will agree, yes, being depressed is weak, but they're going to say it's okay to be weak. And I think that we should say it's not okay to be weak. Because as men, as a traditional men, it's our job to be strong even when we feel weak.
I don't agree with
that needs to be said. Anyway, I think
I don't agree with that at all. I am a gay man, and my experiences within the gay community and the depression that I've gone through is a completely different perspective from a straight perspective. But my ability to fight through that and to stand and the things that I've overcome have made me really strong.
I've struggled with depression myself. I have ADHD, I'm neurodivergent, and that does predispose you to depression, anxiety, and other things. Despite that, I don't feel weak. I was a former top cop. I was the youngest cop in my state. I teach women how to beat up dirtbag men. So I don't feel weak despite having those struggles with depression and anxiety.
It causes men to have this complex that if they aren't enough for their family, if they're not enough for themselves, then who are they going to be enough for? Why are they even here?
If you let your depression win, you're weak. So you could be depressed, but you still go through life. Like if you're just laying in bed all day, then yeah, I would say you're probably weak. But coming from like a biblical standpoint, it says that the righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up. You will fall, and so that's okay, but get back up.
Two different ways to argue this. I think that we have one who studied it, is very intellectual about it, and is very passionate about this case. And we have another study where this person is traditionally gone through a lot of masculine things, so showing their masculinity, and very much so gives that example of depression does not make you weak.
Chad, raise your hand. Oliver? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, sounds like we have a clear winner. All right.
Let's go, Oliver!
Thank you. If only we could win elections like this.
All right, both sides have selected their speaker, so let's bring forward Alex and Oliver. All right, so the question is, are depressed men weak? I'm gonna let you guys see if you can come to a middle ground statement. You've got 8 minutes. Go for it.
I'll let you go.
Okay, sure, yeah. So, I'm coming from the perspective that I don't think that depressed men are weak. I think that depression is something that needs to be taken very seriously, and I think that statements like depressed men are weak are exactly the kind of rhetoric that perpetuates the problem, that leads to people being stuck, including myself, experienced with depression, being stuck in this type of rut that you can't get out of. And the moment that I kind of like acknowledged myself, what other people were telling me, but I was really like, oh my God, am I a weak man? Am I, somehow lacking in some sort of way? The moment I, put that aside and just was like, no, depression is a mental illness. Once I, got past that and, got the help that I needed, it was really the moment that I started to emerge from that. So I think that that type of statement is part of the problem and something that I want to push back
Okay, against. but what you would say is staying in a state of depression, I would consider that weak, right? Depression in and of itself isn't weak, but when you label yourself as a depressed person or you let that win you over, that is weakness.
So I would disagree because I think it's important to define problems as what they are. We don't solve cancer by not calling it cancer. We acknowledge that a problem exists, and how we respond to that is very important. But I don't think saying we shouldn't call people depressed because then they'll know that they're depressed or that they'll rot in that sort of state.
No, but I'm saying like labeling yourself as a depressed person. Like saying that is part of my identity. If an athlete is injured in that second, I think he's weaker than he normally is. That doesn't mean he's weak overall, but in that second, yeah.
Is it weak to say that he's injured? Is it weak for him to claim, I am currently injured. I want to get better, but I'm currently injured?
No, but he's weaker.
For sure, people are definitely in a weaker headspace. Right. But I think, and maybe I'm putting these like prescriptions onto this idea that aren't correct. So when I hear the claim men who are depressed are weak, I think of, oh, they're less manly. They need to get over it. They need to power through and grit. And it's I heard this from someone who was over there from your side. It's a weak mindset. It's a choice type of thing. And I reject that because it is a clinical diagnosis that people receive when they are depressed.
We all go through states of depression. I think no one here would argue that you're never going to be in a state of depression, right? Things happen where you do feel depressed.
There's depression and then there's people who describe themselves as being depressed. I think it's important to
Exactly. This is what I was saying. This is what we were talking about, guys. There's a difference between like being depressed and then like being diagnosed. Yeah, exactly like what he just said. Depressive disorder, also known as depression, involves a depressed mood or loss of pleasure or interest in activities for long periods of time. Depression is different from regular mood changes and feelings about everyday life. Okay.
Because you can feel sad. Of course, everyone feels sad. Everyone has mood changes. Depression is clearly defined as persistent, like feeling bad regardless of the things that are going on in your life, even when things are going well.
Right, but I don't think the prompt was saying that depression makes you less of a man. Because I'm weaker, right?
Sure.
I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
A squirrel could beat me in an arm wrestling match, right? I don't think anyone here would say I'm less of a man.
Sure.
right?
Oh, and I'm glad that those connotations are not present
Okay, cool,
in this
yeah.
conversation.
But my stance is you gotta keep on moving. Like you just have to, and you might have to take medication. I'm not against it. I'm pretty sure some people on my side are gonna be against taking medication. But
I'm glad they're not up here.
You have to do what you have to do. Right? But I feel like society most of the times is okay. They say that it's okay to rot in it.
I really don't think that's largely the case. I think it definitely is in some subsets of the internet that you'll find, but I think most people, I think the way we treat mental illness is it's really hard for us to grapple with it because it's not visual. There's this idea that when you break your arm, everyone comes to sign your cast. But when you say you're depressed, they don't know what to do and run the other direction. And I think it's really important to break that type of stigma that mental illness is a real thing. I'm not sure, I don't want to speculate. I'm sure there are some people who don't really think it's a real thing. Oh, you just need to get over yourself. You need to work harder. Back in my day, we just said that we were, sad and we pushed through.
Well, we see it in TV, so we see it all the time, all over the place, where it's like, hey, I can't get up out of bed today. Oh, you know what? Mental health day. I don't disagree, but I think we are, as a society, letting that be a norm and letting that be okay, which I don't think it should be necessarily all the time, because there's
agreed.
times where you have to get something done, and you can't just say like, hey, I'm gonna take a mental health day. Parents, I'm not a parent, but I'm pretty sure parents are here. They are depressed. They have to care for their kids.
Yes, and I think you and I would both agree that like it's irresponsible if you're a parent or something of that nature to neglect your responsibilities because of mental illness. However, I do think it's very much the case that mental illness can be debilitating, can be crippling.
So weakness.
Yeah. Well, I guess
So
fine.
weak,
Okay, fine.
yeah.
Sure. Then you're defining weakness in such a way that it has no connotation behind it. If you want to say someone who is depressed is in a weaker mental state because they're not able to function as well, then I guess we agree. But that doesn't really get to any of the societal implications where there might be some disagreement between you and me as
and
a
I think we've
traditional
done that, but I
progressive
think
man.
we could agree that depression is weakness then.
Okay, so I would agree with your literal statement. The problem is there are a lot of connotations. When you say something's weak, it's like, oh, it should be looked down upon.
Dude, this guy, he's locked in on the conversation. It's just funny.
And that person is doing something that...
No, because I'm weak, so I don't want to be looked down upon.
I agree, and I'm very glad. But I think if someone were to like look at you, oh yeah, you're weak. That would be, but it wouldn't just be a literal factual statement about the nature of the world as it exists. It would be a normative judgment upon you as a person. In many cases, if someone calls disabled people weak, would you just be like, yeah, we are, yeah, we are? Or would you be like, you're kind of an asshole, man?
It depends a lot on context. I agree with you, but well, then we would have to take everyone's opinion on it and stuff like that.
Just we're up on time, so I want to push you guys towards offering a middle ground statement.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate the question, it was, are depressed men weak?
I'll let you.
Sure. So here's, I guess, and this is why I would say I don't want to use the word weak. The use of the word men in the phrase makes it very gendered. If it was just are depressed people weak, then maybe I'd give a little more credence to this idea that we're just talking about descriptively what is factually the case. But I think when you insert men in there, there's this idea that depressed men are weak because men shouldn't be weak. Men shouldn't be burdened by their emotions or burdened by illness of the mind. It's just, something they have to power through. So because of that, here's the middle ground that I guess I would propose to you, and you're welcome to respond to me on this. Depression does not inherently make someone weak. Men are not inherently weak because they're depressed. However, if you let that consume you entirely and you shackle other responsibilities or you claim that you have no responsibility for your own mental illness, oh yeah, I'm mentally ill, therefore I can tweet anti-Semitic things all over the internet. I'm not talking about anyone in particular.
Let's reel it in.
But, so sorry about that. But regardless, so that's kind of the middle ground I would propose. I don't know if that's too long, but...
Okay, can we agree on the middle ground that if you're a man and you allow your depression to win you over, then you're weak?
I allow you to win you over. I think there's a lot of different things that are going on there. I also would kind of want to, if possible, degender that idea. If anyone...
We're on a gendered episode,
well, we are. You're right. You're right that we are. You are correct that we are. However, I think it is true because men exist, and because men exist, women also exist. Women don't just not exist because we all happen to be in a room with very few
but we're
of them.
not talking about women in this instance.
I don't think that's necessarily the case because we live in a society that is inherently gendered. So
I agree with you, but this episode...
Of course.
Okay, so Alex, what would your statement be if you want to give us a draft?
A middle ground, I would say, if if you succumb to your depression, then you are weak. If you allow your depression to take over your life and you don't seek help and you kind of just use it as an excuse for your life or for your poor choices, and I would say that's weak.
And I have one more question for you. A lot of men who succumb to their depression are ones who end up with a bullet in their head. Are they weak in your mind?
I would say so, yes.
You'd say they're weak. Men who kill themselves because of their depression are weak.
Yes.
And I think that exact idea is what leads more men to kill themselves.
Well, so I don't, there's a strong disagreement there, and there's a lot to discuss there. But let's try and make our way back to what do you think is something that he would agree on? So he said, letting depression take over your life is not a good solution. So do you have?
He kind of owned them, guys. I don't know. He made a fantastic point there. He just kind of owned them, and all the guys in red went, "No, that's not what that means."
Have like a counter.
Do you think it makes I'm just curious, do you think it makes a man weak to seek medical remedies or to seek out treatment in that way?
I'm in a wheelchair right now. I have to see a doctor every 3 months.
Okay.
So.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
If the pills are helping you in that, then yeah, go for it. If you need to get out of the woods, seek Christ, whatever it is that you need to do, do that.
Yeah, I don't think I really disagree with any part of that.
Okay, so it sounds like we're landing on if a man is depressed, he should seek treatment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Men who are depressed should seek treatment.
Men should seek treatment.
Awesome.
All right.
Wow, they reached their first middle ground statement.
Thank you to Alex and Oliver. We did come to a middle ground for that last prompt. Moving on to our next prompt. Should men spend their time watching porn? All right, let's get you guys up in the center.
It's an unhealthy practice, and as someone who is a healthy human being and can make observations with his eyes, understands that this is not neurologically beneficial, so maybe I don't even know why it's political. I think everyone's going to agree on this.
So I think the worst part about it is breaking down the relationship between men and women, making sex something that is cheap and carnal and not something that's spiritual and deep and something that exists on a higher level than just physical. That's the other thing I think.
I mean, I am super against porn, and I think the whole industry is incredibly toxic, and I don't think it should exist in the first place. But yeah, unfortunately, it does exist. So
They'll probably argue that it's just sex and it's just, it's just ejaculating. It's just something that you do. It's something primal. We just do it. But it's not.
Who on the progressive side is leaning, thinks that porn is a negative?
Yeah, same thing. It depends on the individual.
And then who thinks it's a positive?
Go with my hands up.
Okay.
Interesting. I think it's a positive.
Little bit of a split here.
I don't think it's either one.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like, it is a form of expression if the two people are consenting adults that are being paid in a healthy, appropriate environment. Go ahead. Make all the porn you want. In a grander sense, it's a moral panic that men are constantly obsessed with pornography. There's a small segment of the male population that has that problem, like any other small segment of the population that's addicted to something. This is a larger extent of the moral panic of men losing their quote-unquote masculinity. It's a non-subject. Some people are going to watch porn. They will be corrected by their friends and family as they move through society and scene.
Shouldn't watch it, but it shouldn't be illegal too.
Okay,
so
say that.
No.
That's not the prompt. Let's not even get into it.
that's not the prompt.
If you're spending all your time not working, not actually being with your kids, you're just watching porn, you're kind of a piece of garbage dad, right?
Porn is an anathema to
Yeah, if you watch porn, you're a piece of garbage, man.
tradition. You can't be a traditional man if you are watching porn. Porn also just poisons the soul of a man. And
Okay, so interesting. It actually seems like, yeah, this is not even like split red and blue now. It's actually all kind of a mixed bag because they all have differing opinions. It actually seems like most of them agree that it's pretty toxic.
It's just absolutely degenerate. It has no place in society. There's no benefit to it.
It projects a fantasy onto women. I think there's unrealistic expectations. Men are not going to get the right idea of how sex should be done, consent, lube.
Where we're going to disagree and where we're going to clash is that they want to ban it, and I am going to stand by us and our First Amendment rights to allow pornography.
All right, Brian.
John.
What would you say in the argument that they're going to present probably, which is it's not hurting anyone, it's only for my good, and it's only to the people who are going to actually speak?
We all agree that we live in a spiritual world. There's a spiritual reality. It degrades women. It degrades men. It's degrading to everybody. It does perpetuate violence. So it is damaging people. I would never buy that argument, right?
All right, raise your hand for Ben.
All right, both sides have chosen their speakers for the
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
question.
he even said at the end, like, what did he say? He was just like, yeah, like it's blah, 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 and then lube. Oh, I forgot what he said, but like, it's just the manner in which he brought it up was pretty funny.
And so let's bring forward Ben and John.
Ben versus John.
Buddy, how are you?
Please go ahead, because I have a feeling that you know where we all stand on this one. So
I don't think anyone should be watching pornography. Yeah, look, I don't think you should mandate what people are watching. That said, if it is two individuals that are both consenting, that are well paid, that feel completely comfortable participating in the filming of sex in exchange for money, then please have at it, as long as it falls under the definition of pornography as set by the Supreme Court of the United States. By definition, it is, by the way, something that you see and know that it is porn. So if we're saying that, yes, porn should exist, I don't think you should watch it because it is incredibly bad for you, in the same way that you really shouldn't drink alcohol, or you shouldn't smoke pot, or you shouldn't smoke cigarettes, or you shouldn't eat fried food. All of those things are also very bad for you, both on a cognitive level and also spiritually.
well, so I think you're agreeing with me ultimately.
Welcome back, Fire.
You're saying men shouldn't be spending their time watching porn.
Absolutely.
But you don't think that it should be illegal, right?
No, we have the First Amendment.
And
in
while
America.
I might think that maybe it should be, right, that's not what I'm going to argue here. I'll argue that porn
How
is
about
destructive
King?
to men and women.
Completely
it's destructive to anybody involved in the sphere. What other things could be doing as a man? Hang on.
Okay, great.
What other things could you be doing as a man that porn takes away from? You could be working. You could be taking care of your kids. I think every man's goal should be to create a productive relationship with his wife so that he can have a productive relationship with his children and a stable family unit. Porn completely gets in the way of all of that.
I completely agree. Porn does get in the way of interpersonal relationships. That's it. Just wanted to call you up and not to be a prick, but I'm going to be a prick. You said porn is harmful to everyone involved. How is porn?
I mean the people involved in the actual action of either the doing the sex or the watching it.
So you're against sex work? That should be illegal.
Sure.
You're against the filming of it, all that sort of stuff. You're against.
Yeah, I mean, look at what
And
it
so
does.
you're against the Supreme Court's interpretation of the First Amendment. Just to be clear, that's correct.
Well, I'm against certain types of speech. I mean, the Supreme Court also said you can't say certain things.
But the Supreme Court has actually weighed in on this issue, and the Supreme Court says porn is a legitimate expression of speech. Partake in it whether or not you want to.
Hey, the Supreme Court gets stuff wrong all the time, doesn't it?
I completely
There was a
agree.
time when they said, hey, black people not very important, right?
Totally,
And
and
so
they
we can
corrected
agree
it.
that they're not always right. I think you and I can agree that porn's not the kind of thing that people should be spending their time in.
I completely agree.
Millions and millions of men are spending their time in it, and we see what happens from it. It creates an economy where women are being exploited, right?
In certain cases, yes.
I mean, if you can make money from it, okay, cool. But you know how many women are like, well, I could
I
just make a
understand, but
quick
let me
buck
just
on
explain.
OnlyFans, so I
I'm
might
sorry to
as well
interrupt.
do
I'm
it.
just
They
sorry
don't
to
want
interrupt.
to be doing it, most of them.
I agree. Some of the people involved in OnlyFans do not want to participate. Let's use the example of Andrew Tate and all of his webcam girls. Those webcam girls were not participating for their will. They were captured in some way. They were ensnared by the lover boy model. So that type of porn, very, very bad. But someone in their bedroom, as a consenting adult, selling images of themselves is totally fine and is protected under the First Amendment. But again, brother, I don't understand what your point is. You're going, porn is stopping us hanging out with our wives. That is a fault of the man not turning the computer off and going and spending time with his wife because he's addicted.
I would
So
agree it
shouldn't
is
he
a
be
fault
given-
of the man as well, but a man can engage in something wrong while it being his fault to engage in that, but also the thing he does was wrong.
I want to, if you're comfortable, like, do any of you want to speak from personal experience if it's informed your views on porn?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think most men have had experience with porn, right? And it's not something that you're gonna go shouting that you're happy about. Hang on, that you're gonna go around. Okay, we can probably agree on that, right? I would say that many men, I think the average age now for kids getting engaged in porn is like 9 or 10. It's extremely young, right? Horrible. They get hooked at that young age, and then all of a sudden it blows up. I've had experiences in relationships when I've watched porn. I've had experiences in relationships where I haven't. And I'm married now, and I don't do that anymore, and it's dramatically a better experience for myself and my wife.
I completely agree with you that it's better when you're not doing when you're not doing it than when you are watching porno. It's better for you because of all of those. The false perception of reality that porn offers is very unhealthy to human beings. You would agree, and I would
That's
also.
one of them.
I
Yeah, I mean,
completely
there's like
also agree. By the way,
billion.
that is yeah.
There's a lot more.
Listen, we can
problems.
broaden this out and
Yeah,
get
yeah.
crazy. You know what I mean?
Let's workshop what's a sentence as brief as possible that you want to offer as the middle ground.
Okay, I would say porn is not the kind of thing that's conducive to a healthy relationship or a healthy life in general, and that while it is legal across states, we should do what we can to minimize illegal activity on the sites themselves and also engagement with for minors.
I completely agree with everything Ben has said. Not only am I in the middle ground, give me a corncob pite and a buckle shoe. I'm a trad male, boys.
Who found John?
I completely agree with everything you're saying. It is bad for you. It is bad for relationships. It's bad for women, and it's bad for men. It needs to be protected against kids. Kids should also be educated as to that porn is a fantasy, that it isn't real. That is not what a man looks like. That's not like a woman looks like. If you get into a van in Miami, that is not going to be the result. If you order a pizza, nothing like that is going to happen. And to that, I would say we need more education about sex. We need more education about our bodies, and we need more education about social media and the internet. So when a 9 or a 10-year-old is presented with a webpage that says, don't click on this, they go, oh, this is something I'm not supposed to look at. And that goes to parenting. So I think we, in a macro sense, absolutely agree. But those are all details to the main meme of, I think porn should be available. I don't think anyone should watch it.
So the middle ground is no, men should not be spending their time watching porn.
I hope you're all sitting down. I also agree. No, men should not spend their time watching porn.
Awesome. Okay.
Well done, brother. That was so fun.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, John. We were able to come to a middle ground on the last prompt. Our next prompt, should men be the leader in romantic?
Okay, so I guess with that prompt, like everyone kind of agrees that just overall porn is just not good for you. Okay, when people talk about watching porn, what do they mean? It sounds like they talk about watching hours of porn a week. Isn't porn just used to have a quick wank and be done with it? I mean, I don't know. They didn't really clarify that, but I think the overall consensus is just like porn is more or less toxic. Like it's just not, it doesn't provide any like positive value. You know, there's nothing really good there. Like, yeah, okay, you get to like, you know, have a little, okay, I don't really want to say any of the terms, but like, yeah, you get to have like something for your outlet or whatever. Ew. But you know, but like other than that, like it's more harm than good, I think, in the long run. Yeah, and I think that's what makes a lot of these things that they're discussing really like difficult. Like even if they've reached a middle ground, it's like it's all about the systems that are in place, like you said, and like those are really difficult things to change because they're just so integrated in our society.
Naturally, like, we as men are actually the leaders. We do a better job of just like providing security, providing in general. And when I seen the inverse of that, it doesn't really go well. Women they're not naturally leaders, and that's completely fine. They're more submissive, and we're more dominant. We make better choices.
I mean, that's like also scientifically proven what you just said. Men produce less oxytocin and the love hormone, right? It allows people to be more empathetic, and men sit more in that more dominant role in terms of that leadership.
It's equal. The way that we kind of have marriages in our society now is that it's a partnership, and maybe sometimes what that looks like is that one of them does take a lead on certain things, whereas the other one's taking the lead on others. And you can have that balance. And I'm sure that there's some decisions that one partner is more qualified to, you know, have expertise in, and that's going to go both ways.
Being able to share leadership and not leadership, it doesn't have any impact on masculinity. It does empowering women to take lead does not make you less masculine.
We're talking about romance. So we're looking at the divorce and women
Cheers!
cheating. We got to look at why they're doing it, because a lot of men don't have what we call the game. They don't know how to just be romantic. It's not about just romance. It's about listening. It's about being sensual, sexual, romantic, kinky, dirty, listening, connecting, going deep in the mind.
As a man, you should have the ability to be able to cultivate your woman, that's sexually, mentally, and spiritually. And for me, like, if you're able to do all three of those things, you good.
I used to be a gigolo. I used to fuck with women that knew let.
Yeah, that's different. That's different. So in order to be, your job
Whoa. What's going on? What's a gigolo? I don't know what gigolo is. Wait, let's go back because what the fuck's going on?
Dirty, listening, connecting, going.
Dude, look at this guy. He's just like, what, fuck. Why did I sign up for this? I could be at home right now with my wife sitting on the couch watching a movie. Like, why the fuck am I here? Like, look at this guy.
Deep in the mind.
As a man, you should have the ability to be able to cultivate your woman, that's sexually, mentally, and spiritually. And for me, like, if you're able to do all three of those things, you good.
I used to be a gigolo. I used to fuck with women that knew
Yeah, that's different. That's different. So in order to be your job as a man is to be the leader in your relationship. You need to provide, maintain, and take care of your woman.
I'm a child of divorce, first off. So my mom, yeah, that's why we're depressed. I grew up largely with my mom. My mom took on both roles. She took on, the leadership role.
A gigolo is a male Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
And I was with my dad on the weekends. He provided what you could provide with the short time I had with him.
I think that women are just happier in male-dominated relationships. Like, they just prefer to be just taken care of and nurture the children and everyone. And like,
okay, low-key, though, I'm definitely someone who likes to be taken care of. I like being taken care of, but I like also want to take care of myself. Like, I don't want to be to the point where I'm like completely reliant on a man, especially to the extent in which if he were to leave, then I would be fucked, So I just want to be like, little like that's what I want. But still have my own things going on in my own life and like having my own independence as well. Yeah.
We see that different power dynamic.
What you just said is really problematic. You go, they want this, women want this.
And no, I'm saying no, but statistically we see the divorce rates between male and female couples where the female is like earning more, is the breadwinner.
Here's the thing, man. Like I have had to go to therapy because I am just a very unsympathetic person. My wife's like, you don't show a lot of affection. You don't show a lot of. You see, you were talking about kind of like you got to be kinky and stuff like that. I necessarily don't agree with that. But right, I don't think it needed to go there. But I think it is. I think it is important to understand like that's what romance is, and so who's going to be the better situated to talk about that?
Men, we're all focusing on sex when it's not about sex.
Why are you seated?
Because it's just too many people.
Too many people, yeah.
That, and it's like it goes hard, weird, trash. Honestly, I was joking with one guy. I was like, maybe I should have brought a blue shirt. Like,
well, can you speak to that a little bit, where you're just feeling like misaligned?
I'm not in a relationship right now, guys, but the two I've been in, both times I was whipped. The relationships did work out for as long as they lasted because I did not take the lead in the role. I let the two women I've been with take the lead. I'm divorced, yes. But it was just because of the circumstances. Yes, she had to move because of a job, and I couldn't go with her.
I think it's important that we state that the order of God in Christianity is God over Christ, Christ and man, man over woman, and this is vaguely in Islam. There is something similar in another religions.
Well, it says, "Let us make men."
It is.
Talking about the angels.
It is important that we stick to this. Once we deviate from this,
let's just focus on the argument.
I think it depends on what we mean by the term lead, because I think some of us are having this idea of just like control or whatever, like women are supposed to submit and just like, and I would agree with that statement, but I also think it depends on a man who leads like servant-hearted. Like I
Oh, what am I eating? Oh, sorry. Basically potatoes and broccoli with like a cheesy, creamy sauce, I guess you could say.
I would argue like a biblical man who he's self-sacrificing, puts the needs of his wife above his own.
The fact of the matter is, in romantic connections with women, there's going to be times that I'm going to need to tell you no, and I'm going to need to control situations that
Wait, by the way, you guys can't see this because my camera's in the way. Look at his name. Mr. 1950. By the way, they put all their names here, but my camera has been blocking it.
There's going to be times that I'm going to need to tell you no.
Not bad.
And I'm going to need to
It is my first time making it. So I learned from this, my mistake is that like I need to put more cream because then the consistency of the sauce ended up being too thick when I prefer a more creamier base. So we learned from our mistakes, yeah. But yeah.
Control situations that you feel otherwise
situations, not her.
Yeah, if you want to go to Walmart at 2 a.m. in the morning because it's 24 hours and you think you're going to be safe, you're not going. So at the end of the day, we as men have to say, oh, you know what? I understand that, but you're not going, and this is the reason why. And guess what? I'll go because I'm your protector. That's leadership. What I'm saying is these guys are going to play you and going to be like, oh, well, why can't they? You know, it doesn't have a study of showing women can't lead just as well as men. This is what they're going to say.
I think the idea of one gender being the only thing that can lead a relationship is just ridiculous. Like, let's be realistic about it. Marriage is considered a partnership. Like, you call it a union, yet you're saying that one person has to lead is ridiculous. You work together. Some person's stronger in other aspects, the other person's stronger in the others. You find a partner that you love, a partner that makes you happy, and you two choose to do what makes you happy together. Maybe you find a submissive woman and a dominant man. Great. Maybe you find a submissive man and dominant woman. Maybe you find two people who are dominant together, submissive together. It doesn't matter. It's about individual happiness. It's about how effective you are in your own life to give yourself happiness.
We have less than 30 seconds. I think he has a wife. I have a wife.
I got no mic. Who cares if you have a wife?
Sure.
Yo. No, I got.
What? They're like, me, put me in. I have a wife, so I get to speak on it. I don't care if you have a wife.
We have less than 30 seconds. I think he has a wife. I have a wife.
Who cares if you have a wife?
Sure.
Yo. No, I got no, dude, because I can bring them to a middle ground, man. Like I got them on the middle ground.
He got the most votes. He got the most votes.
Nate, raise your hands for Nate. You got it's 1, 2. All right, thank you. Kino. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I think we have. Let's go. Our winner.
Okay.
Some of them are chosen to be controversial, extreme. Yeah, some of them are just so extreme. You can even tell, like, on the red side, like, some of the guys will say something very extreme, and then some other guys are like, hey, that's a bit much, man, relax.
Our two sides have chosen their speakers. I sense a lot more tension on this side than typically, but you guys have chosen Nils and Kino. Should men be the leader of romantic relationships? Gonna let you guys debate that for 8 minutes, and let's see if we can find a middle ground.
I think men should be the leader in romantic relationships. I mean, I'm married. For 8 months, so I'm not quite big experience, but I think thank you, I appreciate that. But I think the whole idea of men taking the lead in relationships, men should be pursuing virtues. And I think a lot of the things that men are biologically, psychologically, and societally wired to do are things that are more like leadership oriented. So like risk taking, being able to stand up for the common good, doing all these different types of things. And so I think that applies to a romantic relationship because there are gonna be instances where a man has to step in and take control and say no and lead, protect, provide, and maintain. And I think those are innate things that we have as masculine men. The other side, I think women tend to feel more protected, and I think that's something that they want. Like they want to be led. They want to have a man who loves them more than they love themselves. So, you know, the biblical view is like you should love your wife as Christ loved the church, and so you give your life for that person. So I think that kind of takes precedent.
Okay, well, I see that when you're talking about these things, you're talking about generally, you're talking about for your personal life. This is how you've experienced it. This is what you view for women and what you view for men. I would say that I don't think that really applies when you're talking about the reality that we live in, which is that everybody is different. You can look at any different person, and every person has different thoughts, different ways of living, different ways of reacting, right? So even if you're a masculine man, maybe you just are lazy, right? Maybe you don't want to take a lead in your relationship. Maybe you like a partner who goes ahead and does their things for you, and you partner with them. That's the idea of the unionship, right? Is that you're a partnership and that you're supposed to work together. So when we're talking about men assuming these roles, I agree with you. You said about societally wiring these men and wiring women to feel a certain way. I don't think they're wired that way. I think that they.
Yeah, what is that on his thumb? It's like what's it called? The watch thingy.
They've been reprogrammed that way through movies, through television, through the way that the patriarchal society has existed throughout time. And we're talking about women never being able to work, never being able to vote. Like, this is all stuff that is very, very new to the world in general. So when we're talking about women being able to do these masculine things, it's not that they don't have the ability to or that they don't have the desire to. It's that they'd never had the opportunity before, and we're trying to get there. We're trying to slowly but surely progress so that way men and women have equal opportunities to do whatever they want. Not be handed a Barbie and not be handed a G.I. Joe, but when you're a child, be able to grab whatever toy you want and have fun and and live your life that exact same way as you get older.
Sure. Yeah. So I brought up the points of being, psychologically wired biologically wired, and you completely disregarded those two and went straight to the sociological. There are studies that show that men, I mean, we just naturally have more testosterone. That's just the way it is. And psychologically, where we are just more wired to be in a hierarchical situations, and that requires leadership because the person at the top is the one making the decisions. I'll put it this way: I think men have a strong, soft side, and I think women have a soft, strong side. And what I mean by that is men are supposed to take these things of leadership, but we're also supposed to have empathy. We're also supposed to, I would probably disagree with some of these guys about like men not being able to like share their emotions. I know it is virtuous to show courage, but a deficiency in courage would be something like you're a coward. And whereas on the other side, you have an excess of that, which would be recklessness. And I think a man leading in a virtuous state provides the most stable home to raise children, to do all these different types of things.
So what do you mean by virtuous?
Like courage, temperance, fortitude, all these different types of things. We have this like Andrew Tate, like hyper toxic masculinity that I would absolutely reject. But then on the other side, we also have this rapid evolving femininity that's happening. And I'm saying the virtuous path is often in the middle.
If we shift a little bit from kind of this higher level, can you guys speak from personal experiences as to why, have your personal relationships informed your stance on this and why you would make that argument?
Yeah, I mean, I'm stupid. I think a lot of
I'm stupid too, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all stupid.
That's not a great way to start an argument.
I think it's the perfect way to start it, John, because I think you're stupid too, John.
Got it.
Let's be real. All of us are stupid.
This side looks so miserable. They look so... What happened? Why are they all so upset? They're like so tense now after like discussing this prompt. That's so funny.
One thing or another. Maybe we make mistakes. Maybe we choose to do something that we're just bad at, or maybe we choose to do something we think we're gonna be good, or we think it's the right decision and it's not. So, for example, I'm not a mechanic. If my girlfriend comes to me to try and figure out how to fix a car, I'll make an attempt with her, but it doesn't mean that I know what best to do. So I'm just gonna go in there with a wrench. The idea is that we try and figure out the best solution together, right?
Sure.
If we're trying to make sure that we're doing the best things together. It's not that simple as just, oh, I lead because I, have a thing.
Sure.
Talking from personal experience, the idea of working together and being a partnership is an incredibly important thing. And I think that goes above just needing to lead, regardless if you're the woman, the man, or you're in a gay relationship, whatever it may be. The idea is that you are in your partnership and you should be working together. And I think that maybe even your religion would say the same thing.
I mean, I agree with most of what you said, but I think at the end of the day, like there are going to be certain decisions that need to be made, and I think the men have the most capable instinct in knowing that. And granted, they very well could be wrong. So going back to the idea of speaking from personal experience, I mean, my wife and I's marriage functions in a very traditional sense. Like, I'm the head of the house. When important decisions come to make, I consult my wife. I really much value her insight, and I really care about her and like what she wants. If it functions where the man lays down his life for his wife, he leads his wife, he puts her needs above his, and the wife submits to the man's leadership, I think that leads to a flourishing relationship. And I'm not saying submit blindly to this controlling man. I'm just saying, no, like she should submit. I mean, but the man should also be loving her more than he loves himself. So I view it as like a partnership, like you're saying. But at the end of the day, there is a clear, distinct biological,
Why are they so
psychological,
miserable?
and you could argue social. How do you say that word? Societal. Sorry.
No.
Societal impression on romantic relationships, and I'm speaking about marriage in general. But I would obviously, even before we were married, we kind of had that figured out.
Okay, so we're out of time for the debating. I want you each to take a swing at what's a middle ground statement you think you would both agree with after hearing each other.
Okay. So I believe that my middle ground statement would come from the idea of the betterment of your life for you, your wife, your husband, your child, whoever is in your vicinity. If you are working towards making sure that you have the best thing in that life, regardless of if you're the leader or not. So regardless of if the man is the leader or not, as long as the relationship and the family is progressing forward healthily, then that's all that matters.
I think I would put forth something like this. It is a good thing if a man and wife, or whatever, insert romantic relationship, both pursue a virtuous life that will lead to both of them flourishing.
I don't. Do either of
you have a way
disagree with each other's
I feel like we're
statements?
saying the same thing. We're just using different words, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it would be preferable for your middle ground statement to, talk about men or leadership. Ideally, both.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
How about this? The most flourishing that a relationship could get comes from a man who leads his wife in love.
Oh, no. I mean, again, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. Obviously, there's plenty of examples of existing, but I think that a happy relationship could exist without, a happy relationship could exist without a man at all. But I feel like we're there. I feel like we can do this, okay? So I believe that a man does not have to be the leader to get a happy relationship.
Well, I do think a man should lead, but I think what we mean by lead might be different.
Okay, let's do, let me see if I can give you something. So if we do a man and a woman working in partnership is more important than who is leading them.
Ooh, I wouldn't say more important.
Because think about it this way. I'm gonna give you my example is that if a man is leading, but they're a terrible leader, I mean, I'm sure you've met men that suck as leaders, right?
Yep,
if your man is leading, it can get real rough. So if you have a man that's leading, but they're a terrible leader, and the wife is submitting, but it's a terrible leader, so they go somewhere terrible. You don't want that, right? You would prefer, even if they're not leading, if their wife is keeping them in check, the husband.
That's a very interesting
You don't want
way
that,
to
right?
wear a watch.
You prefer it, even if they're not leading.
Is that what that is? Is that a watch? I can't even tell, but it's just like around his wrist here. Or maybe it's like a medical device or something. I'm not sure. Interesting.
If their wife is keeping them in check, the husband's keeping her in check, they're working together, that's more important than a man leading, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
I would agree with that. The only exception would be if the man is truly leading the relationship down a horrible place, and the wife just has to submit there and follow along as they both spiral. So how can we rephrase that to include that?
We got this. Let's just take a second.
Are we?
Yes, because we got the idea wrong. All we're trying to do is phrase it, okay? So
Let's give it one more try.
all right, let's do this, okay? You take a second to think, I'm gonna take a second to think.
I will.
I mean, they're basically like, they basically are on the same page. They're just not very good at phrasing it in a more neutral manner for the other person to agree, even though they think the same thing. Like they're kind of, like they're there. Just move on, guys. We got it.
What about the man should be the leader if that makes sense for the
Every single prompt is making the other person concede on their point. And so I feel like we've spent like 15 minutes on each prompt trying to reach a middle ground when we said we don't need to reach a middle ground, but necessarily to reach a middle ground on these things, it would need for one of them to concede a point.
No, I think I agree with you. I don't think we're gonna get past this one.
If I have to give the point that in some certain relationships, if the man isn't doing his job, like I can see that it might be okay for a woman to step into that role, at least for a time. Yeah.
So I get what you mean. I think you're thinking about it more broadly, but we're
No, for real, he's fighting the urge to say virtuous in every sentence. Yeah.
talking about the man has failed. It's good for the woman to step up. So I think that we're good with that. Yeah?
Sure, yeah.
All right, let's do it. So if a man is failing in his leadership role, then a woman should be able to step up.
Yeah, I agree with that. A woman should be able to step up if her man is failing as a leader.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man. It's been a pleasure.
No, exactly. I don't really know what that guy was on about because both sides need to. A middle ground means concession for both sides. Yeah, dude, some of these people are saying the most wackiest things. We're kind of like, what is going on here, dude? Right?
Thank you to Nils and to Kino for that very strange but miraculous middle ground. The whole point of this is it is kind of an impossible task, but I do think it is interesting to find where people will concede. And that is kind of what society does, is agree over things that seem impossible
Strap
to agree
in,
on.
guys.
So let's move into our next one. Is misandry more allowed than misogyny? Choose your speakers.
Ooh.
I just think with the prom saying that it's like more permissible, like how many times have we seen like I hate men, men are trash online, and then if you were to say anything remotely like that, you would get flamed into eternity, right?
I think it's really important to look at how we're defining permitted, because permitted legally and in corners of the internet that no one wants to go to are so different. Just because some woman on the internet is screaming, oh my God, I hate men, men should burn, men are trash, and her comments are lighting her up, does not mean that that's how society operates. A majority of the time, misogyny is so much more permitted within society because it is such a systemic issue. There is not a systemic hatred of men in society. It's just, it doesn't exist. Misogyny gets women killed, okay? Misandry makes men have little hurt feelings sometimes.
We know that misandry is more permissible because have you ever heard of like toxic womanhood? No, but you hear of toxic masculinity. You hear people arguing against just being masculine itself. They treat it like it's a problem, like our very identity and part of who we are is a problem. That never happens with women. It just doesn't.
I think misogyny has a much different historical and sociological context than misandry, which is the hate for men, especially because this has become such a thing that's been developed recently as a counter to feminism rather than actually speaking about things that men are actually dealing with.
Another idea that came about
This guy.
in the 20th century where women got educated and it developed this adversarial relationship with men where it used to work in tandem, right? The order, the man leading his household, we all kind of agreed with that. Some of us who come from Christian and Muslim backgrounds agreed with that, and some of us who didn't agree with that. When that was disrupted, women started trying to compete with men. They said, well, why is he above me now? I feel bad. They started getting fed all this stuff. Then it caused competition in the workplace.
Correction, white women started competing with white men.
I didn't go there, but you're right.
Then when Sojourner Truth came in and started speaking about women's rights, she was abruptly told that she needs to leave.
Whoever's
gonna do it, let's get to middle ground.
Finding middle ground is going to be difficult, though. Men do get demonized a lot. I understand why. The fact that there's still an Andrew Tate and he's popular, that's a problem. But at the same time, I think misogyny is an even bigger problem.
Votes for Abram? Okay, remind everybody your name. And then if you Oliver. Oh, yeah, Oliver has it.
Oliver!
Appreciate it.
There's a
Rose just admitted that being a misogynist is a part of his identity. It's so funny when these types of people literally call themselves out. And then when you point out the fact that they call themselves out, they're like, huh? What do you mean? It's perfect.
There was a point in the past where misogyny was more rampant, right? But I think we've actually flipped now. Third wave feminism.
They have parades in the street.
This is why we got to get to the middle ground.
Oh, yeah, guys. As a woman, I just parade down the street with other women shouting, I hate men. Yeah, I love to, I usually do this at least once a month. Me and a bunch of other girls that I know. We're the worst. Oh my God, we're so awful. Yeah, guys, do you want to come with me? We can all go to the We Hate Men parade. Would you guys like to be involved? Jazz Cat Mod stream on Sundays. I'm parading. Oh, it's okay, because I don't think there'll be a stream because I'll probably be at that parade. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. We're all going to the same parade? Last one I went to was really? I think it's been a while since I went to my last man-hating parade. Yeah.
We got to get to the middle ground because of that, though. We have to get to the middle ground.
So I think the middle ground could be, that both have been problems in this country.
Raise your hands if you want Mike to speak on this issue. I see one. What's your name? Ryan. Raise your hands if you want Ryan. I'm seeing the most. I'm seeing 4. All right, so the two groups have chosen Ryan and
Let's
Oliver.
go.
Is misandry more allowed than misogyny?
Yeah, I would say absolutely it is. I mean, we hear this term toxic masculinity used. Have we ever heard the term toxic femininity? No, we don't. But there are some women that have behaviors that I would say are toxic. We were talking earlier about false rape accusations. Yeah, that does happen, and that would be a toxic.
Side comment, I love whenever the topic of discussion is about sexual assaults. People love to bring up false accusations when it's such a small percentage of sexual assault reports that are actually false. It's such a tiny fraction. And it's nothing in comparison to the bigger picture here, which is 1 in 3 women have experienced sexual assault. And I don't know more stats than that, but it's just so not funny, but it's just like they always bring this point up all the time, and it's actually so annoying.
Trait coming from them, and it's just a lot of the plights of men are often just discounted because they're men. We are told inherently that who we are is toxic by that term toxic masculinity in and of itself.
So I would disagree a little bit. I think first it's really important when we're having a conversation about masculinity at all to define what we mean by masculinity. So I think a lot of the times when people are attacking toxic masculinity, as a man, I don't view it as an attack on me because they, in my view, are attacking traits such as like over-aggression. These traits such as suppressing your emotions to the point at which you can't function, or to the point at which like you are not able to communicate with your partner in a healthy manner. Demonizing gay men or other men as not real men because they don't live the same lifestyle as you. There's a lot of different things like that. So when people talk about toxic masculinity, I don't see that as a form of misandry. I see them calling out types of behaviors that are harmful to everyone, including men. So any woman or any person who calls out toxic masculinity, I view as an advocate and ally of men and not someone who hates them.
But why not just call out the negative behavior itself?
Because there is a type of behavior that is exemplified and takes it to an unhealthy level. You should not become, like, never talk about your emotions so much so that you become a raging mess and take out your aggression on people violently. That's not good. And that is a form of, I don't even know if it would really be a full form of masculinity. It's a perversion of masculinity. Toxic masculinity, as I talked about earlier, it leads men to literally kill themselves if they think they can't talk about their emotions in such a way that is healthy. So I think that's actually really helpful to men in that regard.
I don't think so. I think, too, that just aggression in general, you said that like it's a bad thing. I actually think aggression can be a
I said
good
over-aggression. I think there, in certain contexts, competitiveness, great, it's fine. But
like
if you're
defending your family would require a man to be overly aggressive to protect their family.
That's not what we're fucking talking about, man. Like, they love to just twist it, like twist the words and change it into a context that suits their point of view, when that's like not even the point of this discussion. Okay, wait. Okay, so you were saying, Celery Stick, I feel like growing up there was a lot of influence on media making women empowered. I'm sure for good, but maybe sometimes it can go in the wrong way. And when you say wrong way, you're talking about how that could lead to misandry, right? But misandry is a byproduct of misogyny. Misandry is not a product of making women feel, is not a byproduct of woman empowerment, you know? We don't feel empowered as women and then go, I want to be a misandrist, like fuck all men because I feel empowered and a positive influence. Like, so maybe I've consumed media as a young girl, something that's made me feel strong or like whatever, that's reinforced like all the good ideas about what it means to be a woman. From that sense, I don't think that would lead you to be a misandrist or like a man hater. I would say that the guy in red has a good point. The point of bringing up false accusations is that those people attempt to ruin actual accusations of others. I mean, for sure, I think anyone who falsely accuses someone of SA, first of all, you are just a terrible human being. And now you make it 10 times harder for other women to come forward about their experiences. So 100%, like, false accusations harm everybody. It's not just like a woman versus men issue. It's harmful to everyone. Not only in this small fraction of this, but how many men who were accused of a false accusation had their entire reputation ruined by it. Yep, because accusations that were true, how many of those men got their reputations ruined? Guys, can't read. Because last time I checked, the new Trump is still president. Yeah, no, exactly though. So like when they bring up like false accusations, like first of all, not only is it such a small percentage in the grand scheme of things, but there's been a lot of cases that we've seen where men have been accused of SA and nothing happens. There was that guy, he was a swimmer, American swimmer in college. Don't remember his name because I don't care for him. He sexually assaulted a girl in broad daylight, okay? And he was and when he went, this was like a whole thing. This is a couple of years ago, if you guys can remember. When they went to court, the judge was like, but this is such a young boy. He has such a promising future ahead of him, even though he literally sexually assaulted someone. 6 months in prison and then got out unscathed. I don't know what's happening I don't know what's happened now. I haven't kept up with it, but like, that's just one of many examples of like, you know, justice not being served, I guess you could say, or just them not facing the right form of punishment.
First off,
we want our soldiers. We want our soldiers. We want people that are fighting in UFC to be overly aggressive. Those are things that we actually identify as good, and even women show preference to it. But the question, going back to the question, is normalization of hatred for men more prevalent than for women? And I would say yes, overwhelmingly yes.
So where do you see the hatred of men primarily? I'm just curious.
Well, I see it in women's marches, and I see it in general
What
conversation when women are like,
marches, guys? Let's go to the man-hating women's march, guys, happening this Sunday globally. Yep.
I don't need a man.
I don't need a man?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't need a man. I'm gonna go to the women's parade and shout, I don't need a man because I am a misandrist. Yes.
So I'm curious, if a man were to say, I don't really need a woman, I'm happy living my life the way I am, I enjoy my career, I enjoy where I'm at, I'm just not really in a position where I need a woman. Would he be hating women by making that type of statement,
Do
making
they
such a
hate
sentiment?
women?
Yeah, would you say they hate women?
Well, that's not celebrated, though. That's not something that's...
No, but that's not what I said, though. I said,
Okay.
is that an example of hating women?
Is that an example of hating women?
Because you said an
No.
example of hating men is saying I don't need a man.
Yeah, but but they're doing it in a way to put down men. They're doing it because they view the patriarchal structure of society as being an inherently bad thing. Why?
So wait a second. Because I think a society in which is structured so that men have certain advantages over women unfairly is unfair to them. I don't think attacking patriarchy or the advantages that men get is in any way attacking them. There's a famous phrase that to the privilege, equality feels like oppression. Okay? So just because you are in a certain position and someone is saying, hey, I don't really think it's fair that you, for example, are taken more seriously in business meetings or have a better access to this certain education, or within schools, you're pushed towards more STEM fields, and me as a woman, I'm pushed to more humanities or caretaking fields. I don't think that, I don't see that as a hatred of men. So any other examples of misandry, happy to hear them from you, and I'll say why I don't really think they're that prevalent.
So even in a case like, let's look at the issue with Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. It was automatically
We were just talking about this earlier. Okay, wait, I want to hear what he says.
assumed when that news broke that Baldoni was guilty. Everyone just assumed that in the very beginning, and as more evidence came out, it was looked at the opposite way. It's because we have a culture that teaches women essentially to be afraid of men, that we're a problem.
Wait, I thought that was a very, very balanced case. I mean, I don't...
Wait, what? No, wait. Let's retrack here. Blake Lively came forward with accusations against Justin Baldoni that he sexually harassed her on set. Then they released evidence showing that that is not true. So what's the problem here? Like, I'm on Justin Baldoni's side, just saying, it's not that doesn't feel like a good example for his case. Like, that doesn't really, I don't see how that is backing him up. What is this guy trying to say? The guy in blue knows how to cook in a debate. Dude, I know. He is fine as hell.
Very beginning, no, because the general media consensus, at least from my understanding, was in favor of Blake Lively. But as more evidence came out, they thought otherwise.
And here's my issue with this media perception: is on social media we see the extremes amplified. We see the most extreme voices, the people who will say something, get a clip. I don't need men. Men are trash. Men should burn. Kill all men. But that is not actually prevalent. That is not something that exists outside of the realms of Twitter and the TikTok algorithm. Go up to your average woman on the street. Ask her, how do you feel about men? I'm sure that she would give you a ton of things that she loves about men, because there's so many women who date men, marry men, have men that they love in their lives. And that's the reality of people who exist in our society, not the fringe people on the internet. So
yeah, but there are a lot of women.
Did he just say French people on the internet? French people are just really out here catching strays from everybody. Like, not even just in Valorant, but in videos like this as well. Wait, I need to backtrack. Did he actually say that?
That's the reality of people who exist in our society, not the fringe people on the internet.
Oh, the fringe people. I thought he said French. I was like, damn, like, I know we could like kind of joke about like French people in Valorant, like it's just like a joke, but then to like actually, I was like, wow, okay, is that actually I don't even know what that means. Fringe people? Okay, so fringe people refer to individuals who are considered to be on the outskirts or margins of a social group, often due to holding unconventional or radical beliefs or behaviors. I've learned something new today. Yeah, that's what I mean. Social media brings out the small toxic group and reinforces that their opinion is the consensus. Yep. This leads to people getting the wrong idea that there's a growing problem when there isn't. Yeah, like this guy. Literally.
So yeah, but there are a lot of women that are foregoing marriage, foregoing relationships, not having kids, all of these things because they're taught to be afraid of men.
Wait, are they taught to, what teaches them to be afraid of men?
Feminism?
No, 1 second. I don't think feminism. Is it possible that their life
Yeah, guys, feminine teaches us to be afraid of men. Yes. That's why we're afraid of men, because of feminism.
Experiences with men teach them to be afraid of men. The fact that an overwhelming majority of women have experienced some form of sexual assault at the hands of a man or sexual harassment. Ask any woman in your life about a negative experience that she's had with a man. It'd be hard to find one who hasn't. Do you think that's possibly what makes women afraid?
We Oliver, I appreciate what you're saying. I just want to make sure we get more in from him before we start going for the middle ground.
Okay, yeah. I mean, anything you want to respond to?
There have been men that have been guilty of doing awful things toward women, but this mindset that I believe is taught is that all the men are guilty of doing this. That you can't trust any man. That you can't be alone with any man. It's very common that women say that they're afraid to walk down the streets. Somebody in the previous when I was having conversation said that. They had that analogy of would you rather be alone with a man or a bear? And most women chose the grizzly bear that would rip them apart. That's crazy.
So wait a second. Now, granted, I am not a woman, so I don't understand the fear of walking down the street every night and feeling like I have a target on my back. So instead of...
It's not all men, but it's many men. It's enough men to the point where, as women, we have to take precautions to protect ourselves and just assume that we need to be wary of everyone until proven otherwise.
Looking at this and being like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Oh, so yeah, we stand blue guy here. His name's Oliver, by the way. He's the GOAT.
The women are insane. I'm not even going to deal with looking at this on the street every night and feeling like I have a target on my back. So instead of looking at this and being like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. The women are insane. I'm not even going to deal with them. When I saw that trend, I was like, wow. Like that is, imagine living your life in a state where you feel like you are at risk of your physical safety from 50% of the population. That must be awful, and we should look into the reasons why, what is it, like 97% of women have experienced some form of sexual harassment. You ask any woman if she's had an unwanted encounter of a sexual romantic nature with a man, I guarantee the overwhelming majority will be able to tell you. It comes from real life experience, not this amorphous threat of men. Men are real, and men can be very threatening because of many of the biological differences that I feel you would be very sympathetic to. Men are largely stronger. Men are largely larger. Men are largely, have a lot of that over women. So women, sometimes because of the physical nature are more vulnerable. It makes sense for them to be more wary of men. That's just a rational response. It's not
to the point where they would
I want to
rather
hear your response, and then we're going to go into
Sure, I want to hear
but
this.
to the point where they would rather choose to be alone with a grizzly bear over a man in the woods. How many men can?
I mean, yeah. How does he say that and not clock why that is? He's like stating that and then going, oh, but that's like ridiculous, dude. Like they would rather be with a bear than with me locked in a room. Like that's insane. Like, why do you think that is? Like, this guy is what?
Does the average woman really believe that she would be safer alone with a grizzly bear that is trained to rip them apart than a man? It doesn't make any sense to me because men show up too and to defend women.
Of course,
men have fought for women's rights. I mean, fought for this
been the
country.
ones fighting against them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to stop. I want to stop you guys here.
Yeah.
Plenty of disagreement, but it's time to start throwing.
I want to hear more examples of misandry.
I mean, it is insane. It is insane that we would pick the bear over a man. But instead of calling us insane, shouldn't we look, as a guy said, into the reasons why we would choose that? Like, yeah, maybe a bear would kill us, but a man would have more sinister intentions than that. Like, there was some comment that a girl said, I can't even remember what it was. It was like a bear would maybe kill us because, it's just an animal. I don't know why a bear would ever kill you. I think more or less, is it grizzly bears that are actually the most aggressive? Anyways, whatever. But like a man would freaking probably do worse to you, if I'm being honest. Like I would be terrified. I mean, I would still be equally as terrified being stuck with a bear. That seems terrifying. But I feel like the worst thing that a bear would do is actually just kill me. It's dangerous. Why look so fluffy? Exactly. I just want to hug them, they're so fluffy.
Still don't know what it is, so I want to know.
Well, I think we're out of time.
It's a hatred of men.
We can keep exploring your disagreements as we start proposing where there's a middle ground.
I think too.
And so let's hear from you
just look at
first.
our education system, all right? So a lot of young boys are slapped with ADHD diagnoses. We're taught that just the nature of us being who we are, just being a little bit rambunctious or having high energy is like a bad thing. So instead of treating that, instead of dealing with that, or instead of restructuring our education system to accommodate men, they don't. They slap pills on young boys, get them hopped up on ADHD.
Where this is like a completely different like topic. Like, what is even going on? How does this have to do with misandry and misogyny?
Medication, and don't actually let them get their aggression out or their energy out in healthy ways.
And you think it's because they hate men?
Yeah, I do. I
don't think it's
in part.
I don't think it's because they hate men. I think it's because the big pharma wants to sell you pills instead of the solution to the problem, and I think that transcends gender. They do it to both.
Exactly. It has nothing to do with gender. That's literally just marketing and pharmaceutical companies wanting to make big bucks off of you. What is this guy? What is he on about?
Individuals. I don't like this. Doesn't seem like a gender-specific issue, right?
Okay, so both of you, it's time to start offering a statement that you think you can both
Disparate
agree on.
impact is really interesting that he agrees with that.
What's a statement you think you can both agree on?
I have one.
Yeah.
Hating anyone for genuinely hating them because of their sex or their gender is just wrong. You shouldn't do it. If someone genuinely hates men or genuinely hates women, that's not good. We should not promote people hating people based on any immutable characteristic, and sex is included within there. Yeah, okay.
The question is misandry.
That's so funny. You know, there was a comment actually saying that like the woman who is in this room, bless her, and I respect her because damn, I would, if I was the only woman in that room, like behind the scenes, like, you know, whatever, there would be so many times where I'd have this crazy urge to just yell at them and be like, what are you saying? ADHD also presents differently in girls and has been studied on boys way more, actually due to the misogynistic nature of the health industry. The dudes in the red point works against him. You know what? That's actually really, like, I like that you bring that up, because another great example of like autism is like very different in men and women. And same thing with ADHD. Most medical studies that have been done are autism on boys and how it affects boys. So a lot of that treatment is for boys. And I mean, even just like the health industry is also very misogynistic. I mean, a lot of research about women's health and women's anatomy and whatever is so far behind, and most studies are based off of men. So yeah, this guy's point is literally working against him. Like, what? And also, can I just say, wouldn't we love living in a society where women are in charge? Like, who would really complain about that? Like, come on. Like, think about, where's Wonder Woman from? Themyscira, right? I think that's how you say it. Where Wonder Woman is from. You see how that society functions? I know that's all fiction, but come on. Who wouldn't want to live on an island surrounded by beautiful, smart, capable women? Hey, I mean, I wouldn't complain. Just saying. The lack of medical knowledge towards women is so insane. We need to realize that there's still so little known about PCOS. Yep, or how we still don't know what makes a woman go into labor. Like how? No, it's actually fucking insane. It's actually fucking insane.
I don't think I can find middle ground on this, because misogyny literally kills women, and misandry.
I mean, that statement in itself,
Are you
us
kidding
are
me?
very present.
No.
Misogyny
You misunderstood me. You misunderstood me.
Okay,
The
explain.
hatred of women kills women.
Yes.
Would you disagree with that?
The hatred of, I mean, yeah, hatred could lead to killing
So the
somebody else,
definition
yeah.
of misogyny is the hatred of women.
Yeah.
So the misogyny
Yeah.
kills women.
Yeah.
That's
so you
what I
could
just
say
said.
the same thing. The hatred of men, teaching them who they are as being toxic, could lead to them ending their own lives.
Okay, so because some
Because
men
society doesn't
because some men might have a misunderstanding of what misandry is and they might kill themselves, then that's the same thing as men killing women because
or
they hate
being
them.
unjustly locked up for rape accusations.
And how often
because
does-
automatically it's deferred that the woman is innocent, she's not guilty, and the man is guilty.
What about Johnny Depp? Did that happen in that case?
That
What
was-
about in Chris Brown? Did that happen in that case?
Chris Brown.
What about in Donald Trump? Did that happen in that case? What happened to Brett Kavanaugh? I can
Brett
keep going.
Kavanaugh was demonized.
What? Yeah, he was.
He was
And where
dragged
is he
through.
right now?
Yeah, because
Where is he right now?
because it failed.
Tell me where he is. Where is he right now?
He's sitting on the Supreme Court.
Thank you.
Okay, what do you want to propose as? What's a statement you want to propose that you think you can both agree on?
I don't think that.
Well, that's our middle ground. We can't find any middle ground on this, I don't really think.
Yeah.
Let's
I
just
think
give it another sec.
I think hating men is wrong.
I think misandry is normal. It's very normalized to the point where we don't even realize it.
You can't give me an example of it. That's what I'm wondering.
I gave you a bunch of examples.
But the examples you gave me were women trying to live their lives of their own autonomy and accord, which is saying, I don't need a man, which is fine. I don't see what world you view that as hatred unless you think you're entitled to women.
Yeah, but...
That's the only way I interpret that as a hatred of man. I'm being as charitable as I literally possibly can.
I gave you the ADHD example of schools being structured toward that.
It's structured towards that, but the issue is you can't just say that an issue affects men, and therefore it's because we hate men.
I've literally heard women say, I hate men.
Of course,
literally.
absolutely. And
death to the patriarchy,
of course.
all these things.
Wait a second. Death to the patriarchy means death to the societal structures in which give men more societal power than women for no reason. That's not the hatred of men unless you think men ought to have that power because they are men. That is the only way you interpret it that way. So all I'm showing here is a lot of these ideas of what you think misandry is are just your misogynistic instincts and assumptions being exposed.
Yeah, so now you're assuming that I'm misogynistic.
I'm not assuming.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not assuming. That was not an assumption. I gave you a very clearly
You're
rhetorical
demonstrating
path.
it right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, I hate men.
What is he demonstrating?
Dismissive of men.
Dismissive?
Showing this
him
general
talk.
sentiment
Let him
of
talk.
animosity toward men. He's showing it.
How?
You just did it.
So I said that you have a disdain towards women because you view breaking down societal structures that benefit men
You called
as
me
hating men.
misogynistic.
Because that's literally the
do you
definition.
think he's misogynistic?
Yeah, probably. I think we all are a little bit, some more than others. Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get.
No, granted,
to a
I want to
middle
point
ground.
something out. I don't think I'm free of misogyny either. So this is not to say that you are a terrible individual or that I am a terrible individual. I've done a lot of learning to unlearn a lot of these ideas that, frankly, I've been instilled with throughout my entire life.
Yeah,
So,
but I want to encourage you. Just for, I'm sensing there's a lot of energy coming from your side, and so I do want to give you an opportunity to, expand on what you just said. You feel like he's coming from a misogynistic place, but you say you might be coming from one.
Absolutely.
If you were to lower your temperature a few degrees and expand on that in a way that he might understand.
We're two men debating women's issues.
Okay, so bro's debating a sack of potatoes. No, dude. The guy in red literally just can't comprehend anything that Oliver is saying. Oliver's spitting bars, guys. He's spitting facts, and the other guy is just like, can't even keep up. He can't keep up.
So there's only so much of a perspective that I can provide here. And this is not, I realize that I have not taken the most charitable approach in this conversation, and I apologize for that. I do not think you're a bad person. I do not think you actively hate women. I think misogyny can linger in so many ways that we don't even realize. Even when you hear, this just happened last week with me. Someone was like, oh yeah, Dr. Berg moved to another institution. I said, oh, where'd he go? That's an example of it. I assumed that Dr. Berg was a man. Dr. Berg was, in fact, a very qualified epidemiologist. That's the type of underlying misogyny that many of us have.
Isn't that just a misunderstanding?
It's not because wait a minute. Hold on. It's not because your assumption is doctor is associated with man. That's your first assumption. When women can be doctors too.
He's literally teaching him what misogyny is. He's like literally schooling him. Dude, right, I want this video to be done again, but with beers. Dude, right, can you imagine being in a bar, having some beers with some friends, you're watching this type of debate go down? That would actually be such a good concept. Instead of a comedy show, you just watch people debate and drink. Okay, maybe that could get a bit cray-cray, but I think that'd be kind of fun.
Why doesn't the assumption go to women being doctors? Why isn't it?
Because I guess we grow up where a lot of people just assume that men are doctors. I don't know that.
Because more men are doctors.
Maybe that
because they've been
person's
given.
dad was a doctor, so he just had it in his mind that his dad's a doctor. So yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
It's okay if we can't get to a middle ground, but just one last chance.
Yeah.
At least offer a statement that you think both sides can agree with.
Yeah, I obviously believe that there's, misogyny. I believe that. I believe there's misandry. I believe these things happen. But I think at a societal level, we do see more of it negatively toward men, not women. Show me, give me examples of where you think this is happening more predominantly against women than men.
Against women? The fact that women are denied the ability to receive certain types of education. In the sense of, fine.
I fucking hate when, sorry, that one came off very strong. I was just gonna say, I really don't like when, what did you just say?
Ability to receive certain types of education.
That. And then his first response is, where? But where? Because he thinks that just because he doesn't see it, or maybe it doesn't happen with wherever he's from, that it doesn't happen, period.
In the sense of
Where?
within schooling, they are often intentionally pushed
Schools
towards certain
designed
careers.
for women.
Wait,
I'm
no,
sorry,
no,
guys.
no, no, no.
Just
No,
for,
fine.
for
Oh, no,
time,
no.
we're gonna have to end this one, but let's at least shake hands. And it was a good try. Thank you, guys.
No ill will, even on camera. Okay.
Nah, they should have let it keep going, dude. Do you guys realize how like this is like the longest one? Wait, that's like nearly 20 minutes just here. And like other sections are like nowhere near as long as that. It was a good debate.
All right, moving into our next prompt. Is Elon Musk a good masculine role model?
That guy, he just kind of outed himself though. Like this video is on the internet now forever, and anyone can just go back to it and take a look and be like, whoa, is this you, man? Is this you in the video? I don't know. That's not a really good look for you.
Sounds like there might be some divide. Come forward and find your speaker.
No, he's not a good role model on this side.
I don't even know the guy.
Okay.
He has a bunch of baby mamas, which is not very traditional or like good for like a family household.
I believe he has a great mind and he's contributed a lot to society with SpaceX and all the other things. But again, I have no idea about who he is as a person. So I don't know if he's a good man or not.
We're no different than them when we just say, oh, well, he makes money, right? So does Andrew Tate. I don't think we would agree that Andrew Tate is a in-the-house father figure that's morally guiding his children, right?
It's unlikely that anyone in this room knows more about the damage that Elon is doing to our government than I do. It's also unlikely that someone in this room knows more about Elon's history than I do.
Whoa,
This is
okay.
something I have a lot of mastery in, and I would absolutely...
Guys, he's #1 Elon Musk fan. He knows everything. He knows what time Elon Musk takes his shits. He knows what color they are and how he knows everything. Okay, I'm just taking the piss, but...
love to destroy on this topic. My qualifications, I'm a political analyst, and I was an advisor to
Okay, he's a political analyst. I'm sorry. I'm the asshole here.
a presidential campaign. I am deeply involved in politics and governance.
Okay.
All in favor of Ryan?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Unanimous.
No pressure. First unanimous vote.
Is he possibly somebody that America maybe would need in order to go in a certain direction that the president is deciding to go in? Sure. But in terms of like a human being perspective, like first of all, like he's a Dutch South African. They hands down supported apartheid. Like I've been trading Tesla stock for years, dude. It's freaking great. But now I stopped trading it just based off the fact of where he stands politically.
There's nothing masculine about abandoning your kids. There just isn't.
I feel like we're all generally in the no column.
Letting other people grind for him on a game. Oh yeah, I heard about that. Was it Elden Ring or something? Like he claimed that he like beat Elden Ring or something, and he was like top. He was like up there on the leaderboard, and then it was exposed that like he actually paid someone to play for him. I saw this. I don't know what game it was. Oh, Path of Exile. Okay, never mind. Okay, it was on Elden Ring. Path of Exile. Oh, and Diablo. Okay. That's so embarrassing. First of all, it's embarrassing that you even pay someone to do that for you in the first place. But can you imagine then being exposed for it? Like, that's rough. He has 14 kids with 4 women. How could that possibly be a good male role model? No, seriously. I think they could have maybe chosen a different guy for this prompt, you know?
For varying reasons. Obviously, he's a great business mind. I would love to just completely just like fight it down and just say, listen, he's a great person that has accomplished many great things, but he is off his rocker right now, and he's never been fully on his rocker, and he's not an ideal of what the average American man should be striving to be.
Me. 1, 2, 3. The groups have chosen their speakers. Napoon, you're coming on up. And Ryan.
Yo.
Speakers, Napoon.
Okay, Nipun and Ryan. Let's go.
Let's see where this goes. Is Elon Musk a good masculine role model? What do you guys think?
I don't believe that anyone is evil, and I believe everyone has virtues. I think Elon's a really complicated, problematic, and potentially broken person, and I think he gets exalted because his successes are obvious, but his failures aren't as covered. And I think, but more than that, I think when you're looking for a male role model who is successful, there's so many people out there who don't have such an open track record for, casually having children everywhere and rejecting his child for something that they can't control. And it's hard for me to see how he would be in the top 1,000 of anybody's list.
Okay. So the consensus of our group, which I'm here to represent, is that hell no.
You guys don't think that?
Yeah, we don't think he is a proper role model for varying reasons. Obviously, successful businessman, brilliant mind. The man can catch a goddamn rocket. Like, so obviously he's great. But at the same time, he's with Trump right now. 2008, Tesla was popping up with Obama everywhere. He's moving left and right. He's not standing on a singular value that we can actually hold him to, except, I guess, the value of money. And success and business development. So based on that and the fact that he lacks a demonstration of family values, we don't think he's a role model for like the everyman.
Okay, so let's cut to the crap here. Let's get a middle ground statement on why you think he's not a good masculine role model.
Well, there's a lot.
Side note, I did not step in front of the Tesla that might hit me later.
I did.
I feel like they're like friends. They're like chilling.
I mean, I think it could be as simple as he's not a good role model.
So I would say that Elon Musk, albeit a great man that will be remembered in history for significant accomplishments in business and science, does not represent a proper masculine role model, as he has put himself in an imbalanced way to achieve those successes, and he does not demonstrate the spirituality, the family values, or the social values to be a good role model.
I mean, I think the thing that sticks out to me that I can't agree with is that he'll be remembered as a great man. I think he'll be remembered, and I think he'll be remembered as at least somewhat successful and impactful, but I think he'll be remembered as a mixed bag, as a human.
I mean, history is written by the victors, so we can't really decide how he's going to be written.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Yeah. He's a bad masculine role model because he's an imbalanced person focused entirely on business and his scientific advances for his businesses, and rather than a family and a general sense of growth for society, semi-acknowledging what he's done in the most recent election.
I wouldn't say that those are the reasons why.
Okay.
What makes him problematic transcends any one of those things and incorporates them all. I think
his use of Roman salutes,
and that's not great.
Yeah.
But I think also if we're talking about family values, I'm not sure he has values. I mean, there are some people who just they're not immoral or moral; they're amoral. They kind of exist in this weird third orb of existence, and I don't. He might be one of those people. He may not have morals, period, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, lack of morals is also a form of immorality.
Yeah, but there's being immoral and then there's not having access to it. By definition, people who are clinically narcissistic, those are amoral people. Their brain can't do good or bad that way. They're not inherently bad because they're not doing good or thinking good or saying good. They don't have access to what we would consider good. It's just not available to them at all.
Well, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to try and suggest that he has one way or the other. I just know that from the perspective of what we can see on the outside, obviously his $100 billion industry and his $100 billion life that we see only 1% of. I mean, one person brought up that his family was Dutch, white, in South Africa, so they might have a problematic history with apartheid there, and a whole slew of other things. The point is, what we see in front of us, the man presented in front of us, is not someone that anyone sits and goes, yeah, that's a Chad. I want my kid to grow up like that. Like maybe in business, for sure. Maybe in science, for sure. Yeah. But other than that, it's not someone that you think about and you look as a well-balanced person that you want to be.
Yeah, I can certainly agree that he's not well-balanced, for sure.
Yeah. Elon Musk is not a good masculine role model because masculinity gives value to someone because...
Let's just.
You can do it.
Elon Musk is not a good role model.
Yeah.
Great. I love that it was really that easy.
Sounds
Elon
good.
Musk is not a good role model.
All right, let's fight about something else.
That concludes part 1 of this Middle Ground XL. We're going to revisit those middle ground statements that we found in the debates in part 2, and we're going to give all of these men the opportunity to say whether or not they agree with those statements.
Ooh.
If you agree that Elon Musk is not a good role model, come to the middle. If you think he is, stay seated.
There's nothing you can tell me that's saying that Elon Musk is not a leader.
I think porn, like, there is a good release. Bro, if I'm not nutting, you know, it could get crazy, bro. Who knows?
That is a bullshit reason to make a mandate for other people. You guys have got to stop discrediting our points just because your faith backs you up.
Mr. Judgmental over here just shifted my, because listen, y'all can laugh all you want. You ain't got no game like I have. Laugh all you want.
You're never going to win me over on this idea that relationships should fundamentally be structured by one person leading another.
A man's job is to create order. A woman's job.
Ooh, guys, that looks spicy. Not for today. We just watched an hour and a half of this. Guys, good job. How did you guys find that?